Hello and welcome to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle, joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. We're on camera for the first time. This will be a little different, but be fun. We'll do what we do every time. We'll start by, talking about what we've been playing. I'm still not done with Rebirth. So but I will tell you, because we talked about it obviously behind the scenes, but I had an interesting thing. So I am at the very end of chapter 12. I am chasing Kate Sith around. That's where I saved. So it's right after all those battles. But I had and one of the reasons I haven't gotten further than I did was I got to that point where you have that arena battle where it's like a couple different waves and then you fight dying. So the first time I go into it, like I get like the first one's like the first battle's fine with like just the henchmen. The second battle is fine. You get to the third one where it's the two Tomberries and then the Donberry, which is like the big one.
Yeah.
And I killed the two little ones for whatever reason, and that's why I was texting you, asking you this. I could not attack the big one. Yeah, like what would happen is it would come up and say not a valid target.
Yeah, you texted me, and I was trying to remember back to the fight. Was there like a trick or something that you had to do? And I could not think of anything that was special about it at all.
Sat for like 20 minutes just trying. I'm like, I'm hitting there. I'm literally slashing with Cloud because he'll do the animation like he's attacking. Mm-hmm. But if you go to do any abilities or spells, the minute it says no valid target, it won't let you do anything. I called down Alexander, that call in or whatever. The big guy. He can't do anything. Yeah. I'm like, shoot the fucking beam at him. Nothing. It was like no valid target. So I got pissed. I messaged you. I was like, I don't know, maybe. And I started looking up like guides on, online and stuff, and there's nothing. Like nobody says there's any trick or anything. And I'm like,
you text me, and I sat there for like 5 minutes thinking, like, what did I do in that fight? And I could not remember.
I know, obviously,
anything about it.
You just have to avoid the one-hit kill attack.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I told you that any Tomberry fight in any of those games is just dodging. You just have to.
So I mean, that led me to be pissed off in the game. So I let it sit for a couple days, and then I went back the other night. And I flew through the battle, no problem. So that was a glitch. I assume that was a glitch. But after that, we're chasing Kate Sith around, and that's where I saved it. So that's really towards the end of that chapter, I believe.
So what happens next is you'll get out of there, and then you'll get to the point where the game opens up a lot after this, where new quests appear, new battles appear. It's
so many
crazy.
quests.
Chapter 12 just kind of, I don't want to say like restarts the game, but it reopens everything because now you can go anywhere, fast travel anywhere, all this kind of stuff.
I will agree with you now. At this point, I've put about, I think it's 65 hours is what I put into it. It is almost too much at times.
It is
where I have the same question you have: is what are they saving for the third game? Like,
I don't know.
How is that going to work?
I don't know anymore. It's just, unless I'm able to go back to all of these places and there's more places.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of, is that we're going to incorporate maybe this game and the first game's areas into one, because you do go back to Midgar at one point. So
yeah,
there's got to be something. And then because there's not too many other locations left. Like Wutai is the biggest one. Like that clearly has to be a place we go.
I would think it would be a big part of the third game, and especially with all the Yuffie stuff in this game that they've kind of added with her character.
They lean more into it as the game ends too.
Okay,
so you're definitely going there at some point.
I think
it seems like it's a lot. It's so much stuff.
It's going to be
so many mini games. More battle coliseums open up once you're done with where you are. There's another thing you can do.
Okay.
There's obviously I have tons of Queen's Blood left to play. I have to go back into all these like proto relic quests on hard. That's so much other stuff. I need a break.
I'm at the point where I'm just probably going to beeline towards the end as much as I can, and I will come back to it later to do some stuff.
There's a little bit of stuff you'll want to do probably before you go. Because the game, like I said before, the game does make it clear, like, this is the end. Like, if you go here... I mean,
that's good, though.
You're going.
I want to know that.
Right.
But, yeah, I just, at this point, like, I want to get it done because I have other stuff that I would like to play. I mean, although at the same time, like, other than Stellar Blade, which is, I think, next week, there's really not much coming out for a while. Like, anything major. It's kind of small stuff,
Tiny little Stellar Blade stuff here and there.
Stellar Blade I am going to get. So that, I mean, obviously I played that. I will touch briefly on, I've uninstalled Diablo 4 from PC. It is still a trash fire. I had it working 2 times. And then I finally was like, I woke up one of the weekend mornings and I was like, okay, I'll set it up. Maybe my girlfriend and I will play it. I go into it and it will not update the game. There's some update got released. Literally, you click it to try to update it through the Game Pass app, says there's an error. You try to update it through the launcher for Blizzard, error.
Weird.
And I'm not going to troubleshoot this anymore. So I'm sure people that are playing that on Game Pass on Xbox are perfectly fine. It's not a problem. It's literally a PC thing. So, and I think it has to do with tying that to the Blizzard application as well. So, but that's done for now. I had at this point saved up like a $20 credit for the Xbox store that I've been sitting on for like, I mean, it's been growing. So, but I'm sitting on it for a while. And House Flipper 2 finally came out for console. And I love House Flipper. So I decided to double dip on that game. And I will say, like, I've obviously, I don't know if you've played the original House Flipper, like either on,
yeah,
it's very janky on console. Yeah. Like it has that, like, the way I would describe it, it feels like a Eurojank game, if you know what that means. Like that's what it feels like.
I mean, it definitely does.
Not this game at all. This is like the most polished one of these, any of these simulator games that I've played now on console. Like it is complete overhaul. Even the little bit I played when it came out on PC back in December, they have polished the hell out of it since then. It works great with controller. They've updated some stuff with like how you paint walls and stuff is different. But it is a very good console port of that game. And I'm sure it works just fine on PlayStation too, but very good. So I've been going to that a lot. And then Supermarket Simulator is still I'm at 50 hours I put in that game.
Oh man.
And I streamed it the other night. I'm sure you saw
some of it,
or looked a little bit. Like the game is cool as hell. And like I started reading down. I didn't know until I loaded up the last time the list of things that are coming soon for this game. And there's like they're gonna have there's gonna be thieves.
That's cool.
There's gonna be closed camera, like like the cameras everywhere. Yeah. So you're gonna have that. Just a bunch of really, really cool updates and stuff. They're going to have a delivery service. So like you'll have to fulfill orders for a delivery person to come. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, I don't think I did it on the stream, but like if you can walk around, like they've actually built like 3 blocks of a city in that game. Like it's way bigger than you think. And that's how they kind of filter the people in and out. Because if you go out of this thing and you can walk around what they've built for the city at any time, you'll notice the pattern of people, how they kind of just walk around this until you click the open sign and then they start filtering in to buy their stuff. That's how the game works. But apparently they're going to expand the city for the delivery thing as well when that goes. So like they're adding a lot of stuff. So like part of me is like, man, I should probably stop playing this game and wait till they put some of these updates. But then the other thing is like, I just like running this fucking store.
Yeah. I get it.
I just like stocking these shelves and making the money and like, so it's great.
So what'd you do today? I got off work and worked some more. That's what I did.
Exactly. Like that is like kind of my ritual every day after work is like I get done. I'm like, all right, I could probably do a day of this. So the other thing I'll mention, they put finally Alone in the Dark was on sale. I think it's on sale at GameStop, and then Amazon and Best Buy matched it at $30. So I bought on Amazon. I had a $22 credit card reward. So I paid $8 for Alone in the Dark.
Probably the correct price, yeah.
And I will be playing that at some point here. So, which I'm excited to play. I got it for PS5. So excited to play. Because you know why I bought it for PS5? Because oddly, the Xbox version was $10 more.
That's weird.
I don't know why.
Normally it's the other way.
So, and then we were talking about it today. There's like there's this clearance sale going on seemingly nationwide at Walmart, where they're just clearancing a lot of games right now.
It's random stuff too, yeah.
And I mean, obviously the Xbox stuff is the most clearance stuff, and that makes sense because you know the route that they're going at this point. Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff is $5-10. Like you want that new AEW game, which isn't very good, as we've talked about on the show. You can get it for $10.
Yeah,
that's probably the right price for that game. So, you got Story of Seasons for Switch for $10.
Yeah, I got Story of Seasons Wonderful Life for $10.
That's a good deal.
Mass Effect for PS4 for $5.
That's a good deal too.
Again, a game I don't need because I have it digitally, but $5 for the shelf. Okay. Yeah. And then I got Gotham Knights for PS5 for $10. So that's the correct price for that game.
That is the correct price for Gotham Knights.
And then I'm gonna hit up a different Walmart tomorrow.
Okay.
Just because they don't seem to be the same prices at every Walmart either.
No, and that's the thing. Like I told you, and there's different games at different Walmarts too. Yeah. Like mine had Lords of the Fallen for $20, which is a fantastic deal. I already have it. And then they had Atlas Fallen for $30, which I do want to play, but I'll wait till it's a little bit cheaper. But they had different things.
You had Metal Gear at yours for $30.
They had Metal Gear for $30 for everything. So PS5, Xbox, and Switch. But again, if you're out there and you're looking at Walmart, like they have a lot of clearance stuff.
I saw Fire Emblem Engage for Switch is $20.
That's a good deal. Okay. I have it, but
I have it too. Second Story Star Ocean for Switch is $20, which
I saw that. We just bought it on PS5.
Yes, yeah. But otherwise, that's a great deal. I think I saw stuff for Xbox like Need for Speed Unbound was like $5 that my friend got. Some other
I saw that too.
Saints Row was $5.
I saw that. A lot of stuff too. Like there were definitely things that were sold out at my store, but I looked at the little tickets. So
yeah, he went to two different ones, and he definitent had different selections at two different ones. Like he was saying,
I went to one just before we started recording, and they didn't have a lot going on. I think MLB The Show 21 was like $4 or $5, and they had tons of Final Fantasy remake.
Okay, that makes sense.
And like a lot of like DLC content, like they had like Fortnite DLC and stuff like that was on.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that too. It's like an anime version or animated or something. Yeah, okay, I saw that.
So I'm gonna check out same thing. I'm gonna check out another Walmart tomorrow.
And I guess Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, I saw for $10 as well.
That's a good one. If I find,
I wish you had told me that. I would ask you to grab that.
It's PS5, so I didn't.
No, I don't give a shit. I was still asking.
You still buy it? Okay, fair enough. The only other thing that I've done, and then we can move on to you, Dan, is because it was announced yesterday, I decided to reinstall and look at on PC Kingdom Come Deliverance, which was a notoriously hard to run game when it came out a couple of years ago, even on the consoles.
I remember that. Yeah.
With this video card, I can run it all at max, and I loaded it up, and it looked pretty good. So, but I think I told you, like, they had announced that they were going to do a stream on Thursday announcing a new game, which, like, everybody kind of figured it was going to be a sequel to that. Yeah. But IGN Wednesday night accidentally, like, updated their app with ads for the game before it was announced. And then you could click the ad, it would just take you to, like, a dead link. Right. So, but I laughed when I saw. I'm like, well, now I know what that is. But and the sequel looks great. It's out this fall, which is kind of impressive. So they've been working on it for a while. So, but I'm at some point I want to look at that. So, I can kick it over to you, Dan. You have a real hot game you've been playing.
Let's start off with I've played a bunch of ranked random stuff, but it's all stuff we've all talked about before, so it's not important. But I did finally take a dive into. How did I describe it earlier? Hang on. I was talking to somebody about
2022's hottest game.
No.
I think it's 2023.
It was last year. It was last year.
Because remember, it has a 2-year exclusivity.
This is what I texted my friend about Forespoken.
Okay.
Forspoken feels like a game made in 2014. And I mean that in the worst way possible.
There we go.
It's terrible. It's okay. How can I even describe what I'm experiencing? Just everything about it is bad. Like at times, I will say we'll start with graphics. At times, it does look okay. Right? It looks when she's in motion, because a lot of the games about like free, like parkour, free running, fast kind of stuff. And a lot of times when you're in motion, things look pretty good. But when you stop and you have to watch a cutscene with like people talking,
Yeah.
Someone looks good. Somebody looks bad.
Okay.
Somebody's face changes between scenes.
Love it.
There's like you and this like other main character girl that you interact with in this other world that you get sent to. I'll go to the plot in a minute, but
okay.
The main character, obviously the famous meme going around when this came out was that terrible looking like face.
Yeah.
And like this stuff. Yeah, I see that from time to time. There's something wrong with her face. Like she looks like the model, because the biggest thing was everybody's like, she doesn't look like the model in the game. She does for the most part, but it's like her mouth is wrong.
It has to do with the animation.
Yes, like it's when she talks, like her mouth looks weird. Okay. And it's either too big, or you see too much of her teeth, or it's just something that looks off, where it's a little jarring. But to jump back to the plot, you're like, a delinquent whose parent you never knew your parents.
Yeah.
Christmas happens to be your birthday. You're on your third strike. If you get arrested again, the judge is going to send you to jail. These people like harass you to steal a car, and you tell them no, so they burn down the building you're squatting in.
Okay.
And then you find a magic bracelet that sends you to this other world, which this is within like the first 30 minutes. I can already tell you everything that's going to happen. Like, clearly I'm originally from this world. Clearly the bracelet like belonged to my parents or something. Like, it's all just bullshit. Whoever wrote this game is so far up their own ass. It's unbelievable. They expect me to care about all this lore. They've created this lore of this other world and the break and these like evil women. It's so fucking boring. It's nonsensical. I just don't care about anyone in this world. I don't care about the main character. Do you know why? She's not likable.
Awesome.
She's a piece of shit. Like, she goes around constantly. All these people, at first they're afraid of her, and then like obviously like you save them from something, and they're all like, "You're the hero. I'm no hero. Don't talk to me like I'm a hero." And then she'll go out and she'll be like, "I'm gonna fuck this shit up," and like kill random people and stuff outside the castle walls. Wow. Oh, I also forgot to mention the bracelet talks.
I don't like that.
Only she can hear it. And,
of course.
So it's like this weird buddy cop comedy, except they hate each other and you don't like either of them.
Awesome.
So it's nothing. And they talk all the time. You think
how does it run?
It runs fine. Like there are times during battle where
like does it even have a performance mode and a frame rate?
Okay. It's different. Okay. I think I have it on performance just because I don't want it to slow down while I'm shooting stuff, because like right now I just have rock powers. I think I get fire powers and other fucking power. Nobody cares. Just to go back, like, you think Chadley talks a lot in Rebirth?
He talks a lot in Rebirth. No, the bracelet
and this chick have conversations all the time about everything. Oh, look at that over there. Oh, are you ready to do this? Oh, you should go take a rest. Oh, I can't do this. Shut up, bracelet. And it's just like, oh my God, like, she'll tell it to shut up, and he keeps talking.
Well, remember that was kind of that problem for a little while with some of those other Sony games where the main character would talk too much and tell you what to do.
Like Horizon.
Like Horizon had that problem.
But that's why I think I telling you this game was made 10 years ago. And it never implemented anything.
Well, it's on the Luminous engine, and that's about 10 years ago.
It's a mashup of a ton of games. It's a mashup of Final Fantasy 15. It's a mashup of any generic open world game, except this open world is not populated. It's all busted up ruins. There's no NPCs outside of the castle. I've not met a single one.
What are the enemies that you're fighting, man?
People who are infected that have just been wandering the waste forever and really like fucked up dogs and bears. It's so dumb. There's also these weird like mutants, which are harder things to kill, which they're only hard because they're not vulnerable to the magic I have now.
Okay.
I just like the other, other vibes I get from this is like, it's like The Quiet Man from Sony.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Remember that game where like,
oh my
that game's just so pretentious about how this cool story it's telling, and the way it tells it, and the way it looks and it feels.
Didn't you have to beat it once to play through it again with sound?
Yeah. Which I understand and I don't understand, but
Quiet,
just everything about this game is
terrible,
contradictory to itself. There are weird like cutscenes that take like 4 seconds to load from a black screen, but fast travel is instant.
Weird.
What?
So it's like they optimize fast travel, but not how the cutscenes load into the game.
You'll walk into an empty village and it'll go black, and then you have to wait 4 seconds to see monsters walk up, and then a fight starts. It's bad. It has shoehorned in really shit puzzles. Some chests, like there's chests everywhere, and to get a platinum, yes, I do have to get almost everything. It's fucking
wonderful.
But some of the chests you can just open. Some of the chests have weird fucking puzzles on them, which are just slide puzzles to connect a line. At most, it's like 3 moves.
Is this the platinum that breaks you?
No, Rebirth is the platinum breaks me, because I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it without losing my mind. This game is just it's empty. It's so boring. One of the quests is these kids are like, we've never been outside the castle walls. Can you take pictures for us? Because of course I still have my smartphone, and of course it still works.
That doesn't make sense.
This is like medieval times type shit.
That doesn't make sense. I'm going around
taking pictures of castles to show these little kids. Some of the quests in the town are follow this cat. You just will follow a cat walking around the town.
Do you use the cell phone as like the GPS for like the map and stuff?
No, the cell phone does nothing else.
It just takes pictures.
The only plot point the cell phone specifically has is when you first arrive at this town, some little girl steals it out of your pocket and you catch her. And then she's like, I'm a pickpocket too. You can't pickpocket me, because remember, I'm the coolest person that's ever lived.
Oh, Lord.
So then like she creates this like awkward friendship with this girl who's like 9, and you've got to be like 20 something. Don't worry, that girl's
probably mid-20s.
That girl is dead in the next chapter thing. She gets fucking murdered by one of the bad chicks who shows up in the town and just fucking blows up a whole bunch of shit. That kid's dead. And you like hold her in your arms. She's dead. And they do that stupid thing where they're like, wipe the hand over the face and they close the eyes.
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's just,
I know what you mean.
It doesn't look right. No. And then the game becomes, well, I'm going to avenge this girl. And then it becomes, haha, I really fucked that thing up, didn't I, bracelet? And you're like, what is going on? Her emotions are all over the place.
I wonder if the cell phone and the bracelet become friends later on.
There you go.
Maybe he talks to the cell phone. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that's the actress's fault, though. That's definitely the writing of the game.
It's not her. It's the writing is bad. The story is bad just because it's boring and predictable.
Well, we talked about it when it originally came out. It's a game that came and went. Like, remember when it was coming out, Sony was pumping it hard. It's
bad. Well, because
and then it came out, it got those. It has a 2-year exclusivity. Do you think they bring this to Xbox?
No. The studio's gone. This game did so bad. The studio's gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
There's nothing about this game that makes me want to play it. Other than
I'll get that platinum and put it on the shelf.
Platinum it because you bought it for me
in your sweet steelbook.
Yeah, it's just the movement is okay, but it's not correct. Like you run into walls and you fall off of stuff. She moves too fast sometimes, so you'll fly off of something. The way you upgrade spells is every spell has a challenge that you have to like activate, and then you do things, and then you can upgrade it. You can don't worry. There's like 100 spells. You can only have 3 of those challenges active at one time before you have to go back and start another one. No, they should just all be on at all times. I shouldn't have to read this stupid book. I told you before, this game has perspective issues. Remember Batman Arkham Origins, where Batman is too big to fit in a car?
Yes, and we're talking about that fight. Yeah,
apples
there's
in
a
this
boss
world
fight.
Are as big as a child's head. She tosses the girl an apple.
What?
And I swear to you, she holds it up like to take a bite, and it's bigger than her fucking hand.
That's wrong.
It's an apple. What is wrong? Maybe apples in this world are just fucking huge. I don't know. But
yeah, see, at least in this game, you can make that excuse. There is no excuse in that Batman game for that car to be like that.
They even do this really fucking dumb thing where we're in a different world, but of course everyone speaks English. And I'm not talking like British English. I'm talking American English.
Yeah.
They make a joke. How can everybody understand me? English. I found that language is just kind of like a universal thing. But then it comes up to something later where somebody says something and you can't understand it. And then they're like, well, not everybody speaks it. You're like, what?
Wow. They just go back on their own rule.
They rewrite the rules as the game progresses.
It's one of those.
And, if they had not said, oh, everyone just speaks English, nobody would have cared. You wouldn't have even noticed it. Whatever, it's a video game. But now you're putting me into your game's logic and then taking me out of it.
No thanks.
It's just
understandable.
It's poor. It's poor writing. It's poor everything, and that's why it feels like it's from 10 years ago.
Okay.
It's a bad PS4 game.
Well, I'm never gonna play it.
No one should.
That was just I saw it at the price it was, and I'm like,
I was interested in it before it launched because I'm a Square sucker. Mm-hmm. Even though we're getting firmer and firmer into the belief that unless it says Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest on it from Square, it's trash. Yeah. Like you can pretty much ignore it at this point. Every other one-off thing they try fails.
Yeah.
And it's just over and over and over again. Quiet Man, fail. This game, fail. I'm sure there's another game I could probably think of that failed, but I probably pushed it out of my mind. Because just focus on these two franchises. Do your big numbered Final Fantasies every so often. Keep working on remakes. When 7 Remake is done, move on to the next one. And then do side story stuff. Remaster old stuff. That's all they have to do to keep the cycle going.
Dirge of Cerberus.
They should
remastered.
Why wouldn't you do that? You did Crisis Core. That's only logical to do that next. And as a matter of fact, it should be the thing you release between this and the next one.
It would be a smart idea.
Right. Because then you have all of it. Those are the 3 things. It's all done. Whatever. And then you've got, 13 needs a remaster collection. Not a remake, a remaster collection.
That's fine.
And if you want to remake something, I know 9 is the hot topic one, and I would love a 9.
I think that would be cool.
I think Tactics is the bigger move.
Yeah.
Imagine if they remade Tactics,
especially in a time where you see there's not a big market for strategy games, but the ones that come out usually do pretty well.
Have been doing pretty well. Yeah.
Like that Unicorn Overlord, which I do have.
Diofield Chronicle, I have not played through yet, but
I haven't either. But I played the demo,
and I like the demo.
That wasn't too bad.
I think when they go that way with stuff, when they go older type games, they tend to have success.
But for Final Fantasy Tactics, what's their real competition? Just Fire Emblem.
Pretty much. And Fire Emblem, I think we're at the point now where Fire Emblem is on overload. There's almost too much Fire Emblem right now.
It could take a break.
So it can take a break. But a Tactics would be good. I would kill for a Tactics Advanced for console. That's a fantastic
cool.
game.
Yeah.
But, do I have to play the DLC for Forespoken? Is that a given that I have to do that too?
Is there DLC for that game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they made DLC for that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't know what I wouldn't be.
Well, the PlayStation does that nice thing where they break out DLC trophies from the main list.
But then it won't be 100%, and then it'll annoy me. But, well, okay. So that's Forespoken. That's all I played. But I didn't want to put this in here because we went to MGC last time, and it's not often that I have a lot of pickups, but I had to go pick something up at a GameStop that a friend ran, and there was a retro store near there that I've never been to, which I won't name.
They were at the convention too, right?
They were there, yes. I won't name it, but prices on regular things are fair.
Okay.
Maybe 10% over what you'd expect, but you're paying the tax of I could physically see it. I'm buying it from a store. In theory, it's returnable if it doesn't work, that kind of stuff. But I will say anything that's expensive, when you start to get to the $70 to $100 range, starts to be 25 to 35% more expensive.
Okay.
Anything more than that is 50% expensive.
And you're getting.
It's also one of those stores where it has a lot of signs and Nintendo toys and Turtles figures and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it's marked not for sale. Then why is it here?
That's weird.
Display purpose only stuff in a store like this is annoying. The point, unless it's signage for your store, everything should be fair game, right? It's a store.
Yeah. No, I
listen, you're telling me you wouldn't sell me this one Turtles figure I need because it's sitting up here? Come on. Or this one Kirby figure? You probably would. Maybe you don't want people touching it, and I get that. But then put it behind a glass case like most of your stuff is.
Yeah, like other stores do.
So I'll do some pickups I got from there, which wasn't much. And since we're video, I can show you.
Yeah, there you go.
Continuing on my quest of every dumb baseball game ever made, I got Roger Clemens for Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
There you go.
Don't care. I got this
Good
game.
old LGN game.
Yeah, this game, Young Merlin. I don't know if I've ever heard of this or played this.
I've heard of it, but I never played it.
It's weird because, I know a lot about video games, obviously. And
every
I know
once
a lot
in a
about
while.
old stuff. But every now and then there's a Super Nintendo game where it's maybe I saw this once 15 years ago, and I just never thought about it again. But it was cheap, and it's not a sports title, and worth checking out for the price it was at.
For sure.
Looks interesting.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I got some Nintendo stuff. I got Dragon Power. If you don't know what this is a very weird. This is Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Just not called that. It's actually the main guy is Goku, and it's basically like that. Some kind of weird, we'll Americanize it kind of thing over here, but you can tell it's them. It's Bandai. It's not a great game, but it exists. And then here's some other stuff I got from with the help of a friend, and there's some good stuff in here. So I got Bart versus the World.
That's
Simpsons.
Cool.
I have the other ones. I did not have this one, so it was cool to get that
cool.
one.
That's
I got Stinger, another
game
you see it all the time. It's just I didn't have it for whatever reason. So for the price, it's fine. This is when we get into some of the good stuff. Kyle, you'll like this one. This is Evil Dead for PS1.
Yeah, I have that for PS1.
What's cool about this too, and
it's a
this
great
is
game.
a 2-disc one, so it's got that weird flippy case, and it's all complete, and it's all there, and it feels. We talk about this all the time. Feels good.
Yeah, like my Kodalka copy.
Games. If you've never worked with the amount of video games Kyle and I have, where you touch hundreds of them a day, games feel differently. And I'm sure collectors and stuff know that you can tell when something is never been.
I'd say especially when you get to the era of the DVD style cases.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where you can get some really grindy
You can pick
stuff.
up a PS2 case or a 360 case and immediately tell how many times it's even been played, probably by how the case feels.
Yeah.
Here's another great one. I know Matt's jealous of this one. The Grand Theft Auto Collector's Edition collection thing.
The PS1 thing.
With all three of them.
With that weird PS1 logo.
With the weird PS1 logo. Here's the cool stuff, too, where, they're all individually marked with this, Collector's Edition thing on it.
Oh, that's neat.
But what's even better is all of them.
It's a really good condition.
Have their little maps that have never been opened.
Oh, that's nice.
So I don't know if this was played.
I don't think it probably was.
I don't know if any of the games in this were played.
I don't like you right now.
I know you don't. Because I showed it to you and you were like, I'll take that. And I said, no.
I don't know if you're showing it, but you were able to get me a copy of the first Xenosaga.
That's over there. I won't go get it for now. I told you, what's weird about that is the case feels nice. It's got the manual. The disc looks amazing, but the case clips are broken. So one of them kind of shuts, the other one doesn't. You'll just have to swap a case. That's fine.
I have plenty of.
And then the last thing I got, this is a great one too, because I got it for far less than what it goes for now, because these games have gone fucking crazy. I got Shattered Dimensions.
Yeah, that game has gotten really wild.
This has gotten bad. Web of Shadows, for some reason, has gotten
that one's
really
high
bad.
too.
And that game sucks.
Okay.
That game is bad. This game is very good though, and this won't show up on camera, but it's perfect.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. So I got some good pickups, and then, like I said, I don't normally have pickups because I don't buy a lot, but then I've got stuff that'll be here for next time too, which is cool. So I'll show some of that off. But I don't know. I'm in the mood. You know how it is. You go through a phase.
No,
where you're I don't feel like going anywhere. I don't feel like looking for anything. I don't feel like buying anything.
Yeah,
but
and then all of a sudden,
all of a sudden,
it takes one trip to it takes one trip to maybe a half price around us or something where there's something decent.
Yes.
Because a lot of times you can go and it's either they have cool stuff, but it's way overpriced, or they just don't have anything.
Half price hits maybe
40% of the time.
I was going to say 25 at most. Okay. Luckily, ours, mine, and the one we used to go to, is not a bad one.
No, it's not.
There is another one. The other one is a bad one.
The one by me is okay. So
you're talking about the one by the big mall area and stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's okay.
It's okay.
It's probably number 2.
We have what?
4. There's 4.
3 or 4 by us. Yeah,
a couple of them close. So there's 4.
Yeah.
So that's it for me. Some pickups and stuff. Of course, I have not played any of this stuff because I've been playing Forespoken. So
wow, how could you not?
I know.
What about you, Matt?
I am still playing Dave the Diver.
I have purchased Dave the Diver on PS5, but I've not.
Proud of you.
I want to play. Well, what put me over the edge on getting it there was, one, it was the same price as Steam, but 2, they actually implemented haptics for the PS5 controller, and I thought that would be kind of interesting for that game. So I will look at it, but
I wish.
Yeah, I don't remember if the last time we recorded, I talked about the fact that you can now do I now have progressed more where you're farming now.
A little bit. I think you had just started. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now like you're not only like farming, so you're farming your rice for your sushi place.
Okay.
But now I'm farming vegetables too.
Okay.
And so I have to check on my farm to make sure the weeds aren't taking over. So I have to weed through the shit in my farm.
So you're telling me it's also like Stardew Valley?
Dude, this game has opened up so much.
Man, dude.
This game is like wild, man. Like real talk. You're also farming fish that you can sell to the sushi spot, or you can also just sell it and make money. But like if you catch fish without killing them, you get the roe to plant in your fish farm that you can just start farming.
Yeah,
that's
It's wild. And I don't know where I am. Like, I think it's about to expand more because in the farm, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 12 like parts where you can farm fish, but each section is like a different depth of the water where you can go. So it's I don't know how far I'm going to go, but I'm super excited to go far now. So it's dope. The whole farming thing just kind of opened up a lot more to it. And
that sells me more.
That's
on
cool.
It.
Yeah,
dude, it's such a good game right now. And then I went on Steam and I was kind of like browsing. I had like $10 on credit, and I know they're going through a sale right now, so I was kind of like looking at everything. And I bought that game. I think it's pronounced Blasphemous.
Blasphemous.
Yeah,
that's a very good game.
It's awesome. Like I've only played probably like 30 minutes of it, but I'm like hooked. I'm like, there is
a sequel to it that just came out, I think last fall, that makes it more of a Metroidvania than the first one, because the first one's kind of a little more like obtuse in comparison, I guess is what I would say. Like it's not. It reminds me more of what is the precursor to that Silk Song game they talk about all the time? Hollow Knight, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Hollow Knight in a way where like they don't really tell you where to go, kind of a thing. And the new one is more of a like it kind of guides you a little bit more, but there's a lot more to it. Kind of, I'd say it's like a glow up from going from like Metroid to Super Metroid. Be the best way I could describe it. So,
well, I saw that the new one had came out, and they had both of them for like a deal, but I was like, I just want to play the first one to see if I like it.
The art style is really good.
It's really cool. Yeah, like it's really dope. So I'm super excited to kind of see if I can dive into that. But yeah, I bought that, and I'm gonna try to play some more of that. But I'm hooked. Dave the Diver is like probably that and Helldivers 2 right now are creeping up to be like the best games I've played this year so far, and I'm only sitting in April, man. So I mean, like I don't know what else to say. It's good. It's getting interesting though. But if you haven't, like he said, Dave the Diver just dropped on a console. Pick it up.
Yeah,
it's on Plus, on like premium.
If you have premium, see the thing that happened to me was my premium, and I wasn't going to re-up the premium thing because it's too expensive, as we've talked about. But my premium literally was up the following day, so I was just like, I'll buy Dave the Diver for $20, and
I wishlisted it because I know it'll be one of those things where like in a couple months when I have time, it'll be 15.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that might be a good palate cleanser after Rebirth, honestly.
You're gonna need one. Forespoken, like, not a Rebirth cleanser, I'll tell you that.
No, that's
but that's me. That's all I played.
Now we can go ahead and kick over to news. There's a lot of news in the last 2 weeks that's happened.
Weird
a lot of
stuff.
random stuff.
Nothing major, but all random weird stuff.
Yeah, nothing crazy or nothing like, I guess, too crazy, I guess would be the way, but yeah. The first thing, which I think Microsoft keeps going hard about, this next console they have is going to be the biggest leap in like 2 generations or something.
They said that
it's
last
just
time,
weird.
to be fair.
I know.
They said it with the Series X, and
the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation is what they're saying. So it's just weird that they're going so hard into the paint to say that after all of this other stuff that has happened this year with putting games on other consoles, maybe making it look like, hey, you know, we're maybe getting away from making consoles.
What have we always said is like the one thing they could do that would like crush Sony? Figure out how to get a Steam launcher running on your system.
Yeah.
Imagine if they made a more powerful system and then it had a Steam launcher in it and it had keyboard and mouse support.
You're just playing. I don't think I put it in the news, but I don't think I put it in the news. If I did, I'll mention it now. But did you see the Ghost of Tsushima thing for PC?
Oh, with the trophies and stuff?
Yeah, they've added a PlayStation overlay, which is going to be in their games going forward, that actually has trophy support, which is cool.
It's a good idea to tie their brand together on computer. That's what they need.
I mean, Microsoft does it, which it's seamless, but most people are on Windows anyway, so that, you know, they kind of, you know, have a majority there. So I threw this in here just for fun because it's stupid to me. Prince of Persia, the remake, which has been what, you know, we've been talking about this for 6 years now.
Was that announced? No, I wasn't still working there.
No, it was pre-COVID.
It was like soon after because my buddy still worked there.
You and I were still at the Mac job when it was announced. Okay. Let's put it that way.
Because my buddy was still working there, and I remember seeing the display art for it then.
Okay, so the last time we have heard about the game was May of 2022.
Jesus.
So 2 years. So two years we have not heard anything about this game. Basically, the gist of it is that it is once again basically being rebooted from the ground up from whatever they had, which means you're probably another 2 to 3 years until you see this thing.
Minimum.
How much money, when this is done, do you think this project will have cost Ubisoft?
It will not be able to make back what it cost to make.
No. That's the weird... it just doesn't make sense to me when you see so many other projects get canned that this is the one that they're like, no, we'll keep going and throwing more money into it.
It's something I was excited for because Sands of Time is my favorite one still. Like, the other ones are good, but I prefer Sands of Time over all of them, and I would love to play that again.
I would too.
Now it just seems cursed, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it's going down like the Duke Nukem Forever cursed path where it's going to be, you know, what was that? 11 years?
Yeah, at least.
Okay. At least it might have been 13. But it seems like it's going down that path of like it'll come out eventually, but it will be good.
Other thing that's weird about it is they just made a Prince of Persia game.
It's supposedly I want to play it.
I do want to play that one too, but like
I'm waiting for that to be on sale. But yeah, it looks good.
Why not just keep
and they announced they're going to make a sequel to
just
it.
Work on that. Yeah, like I don't need Sands of Time anymore.
Maybe that's why they're going to continue because it was successful enough to get a sequel.
I guess so. I'm still one of the weird people who liked the other one, the cartoony one.
The cartoony one from 2008.
I liked the cartoony one.
Yeah, I know.
I get that people don't, but I liked it.
I thought it was too simplistic.
It definitely is. It definitely is toned down
compared to the. I mean, look at what came before it, though.
That one is more about running around and like exploring and like boss fights. As
it had a cool artistic style too.
I love the artistic
cell shading, but it just I don't know. It didn't click for me.
Yeah, I get it.
Seems like Destiny 3 might finally be in development, which I mean, you would think, right?
It's been in development for years.
I mean, maybe they're going to talk about it finally.
I think it's because Destiny 2 seems like it's wrapping up.
It does seem like that, and you would think now. I mean, think about when that game came out. That game came out at a time where we were just getting the interim consoles from the last generation.
Was it 14?
No, it was 2017.
14 was the
for
first
Destiny
one.
2. 13.
Oh wow.
Yeah, think about that. It seems like you think about it. Destiny 2 was at the time, I don't think it is anymore. Was it playable on the original PS4 and the original Xbox One?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is anymore now. I think they finally moved on, but it's time for them to get to a new engine.
Yeah.
Isn't Destiny on 360?
The first one, not the second.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, like that's how
the original Destiny came out on 360 and PS3. They did at some point they did shut down that version, like maybe
they had to
2 years after they had to. So
maybe Destiny 3 is when I try again because 2 I feel like I could not play if I tried to play it today.
it's gotten too far away from what it was. They've added too many different currencies and that kind of stuff to keep up with it.
Yeah.
So that's the point. Whenever they do that, and I don't have a problem with what they did as far as like taking the game and making it a free to play game. I think that's probably a smart decision for Destiny. And I'd be curious. I would assume that's probably what they'll do with the third one. But it's when you get to that point, like there's 9 different currencies and this one means that, and this one means like, that's too much. That's too complicated. I that's the point where I check out on that. So this next one, this is actually coming out next week. I will look at it at some point because it is on Game Pass, and do you pronounce it Euden?
I don't know.
I'm gonna butcher it and say it's called Euden Chronicle, but it's that like spiritual successor to Suikoden. Yeah. Which I would have butchered the name of that as well.
I don't know if I'm right on that either. That's how I've always said it.
That's how I've heard it said before as well. But backers of this game, because this was started on Kickstarter a while ago, kind of like a lot of these games are getting hit with ridiculous shipping fees in different regions.
That's fucked up when Kickstarter does that.
Yeah. Like one person here just posted like his shipping is $54 to Malaysia.
Jeez.
So, or you can just buy it digitally.
I backed the game for $60. He's literally paying for a second copy of the game. Wow. Like that is ridiculous. So, it's never good when you see that kind of stuff. But like, I will say, like the game does look really cool. So
I sat on reserving it today. I almost did.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. This month's hot PlayStation Plus Essential game, Mortals of Avium, which I bought on the Xbox last Christmas for $7.
I'll play it because it's free.
And I have it on PlayStation now.
I'll play it because it's free.
They have laid off at EA, that this subdivision that made this, they've laid off most of their staff. It's not surprising.
No. This
game cost $150 million and was a failure. Like a pretty massive.
All right. So one of the biggest problems with that game was they
didn't market it really.
No, Bill, because it came out shortly after they even announced it.
They want to say they announced it in May of last year at whatever we're going to call E3, and then it came out in August.
Yeah, like that's not enough buildup for a game that costs $150 million.
And that's fine for something if it's like the next Fallout, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But
something that
for
is going
something
to sell
that's
on
new
alone.
Yeah,
Destiny 3 could pull that. They could be like,
absolutely.
They could talk about that at Game Awards, and then it comes out 3 months later. Duh.
They could talk about Game Awards and be like, it's downloadable tonight if it's free to play.
But a game like this where it doesn't even look that interesting when you show it, it looked dumb.
It looked weird.
Looked Forespoken-esque is what I'll say.
I can agree with that.
I think you could lump it into that we want to be a AAA game category. But
the thing that's weird is they went back pretty recently before this major layoff and did a lot of update patching to the game on console.
Yeah,
like adding some of those new graphical features and stuff. So
I'm sure there's a last ditch effort that happens with a lot of this stuff, and then eventually it's just.
Or maybe when Sony gave them whatever money they gave to put it on Plus, they said, "Hey, you need to do some stuff."
Could have been.
Maybe that was part of the bargain.
I don't know. Sony's a weird thing when it comes to that, where they'll push something. PlayStation, No Man's Sky, they're guilty of it too.
Yeah,
it's a PlayStation game. And then it comes out and it doesn't really do well. Then they just stop talking about it, like almost immediately.
I mean, in the case of No Man's Sky, they kind of threw it under the bus because they bailed.
This
hard.
Isn't what he said it was going to be. Blah blah. No. You said this is what it was going to be.
Yeah, they were hard back in that until it came out, and then they pivoted real fast. So, but yeah, it's weird. It is something I do want to look at some point, though. Now that it's on Plus,
I'll play it.
I have it. Yeah,
why not?
Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is officially expected in 2027. I think I told you that means 2028.
Probably.
Because it'll be delayed at least once.
It's fine. As long as it's on this console, it's fine.
With that, it also is coming out that Rebirth is underperforming from whatever their expectations. They're pushing really hard that it's underperforming. You got to think about it this way, though. What's the one big difference between this game and the last one?
You had to have
this
played
one
the
is
first
only
one.
on PS5.
You had to have played the first one as well.
And you have to have played the first one, too. But I would argue people have had plenty of opportunities to play the first part now.
Sure, but if you haven't yet, then you can't just
you
go
would
buy
have
this
no
one.
idea.
If you don't have a PS5 and you didn't have a PS4, you couldn't have played the first one. Then there's a lot of.
I'd also throw out the argument, like, even if you're somebody who's played through the original game 100 times, I still don't think it's a good idea to start here. You want to play remake?
You can't. You literally can't.
Yeah, it just would be too weird. So
it's no. But yeah,
my argument is it's only on PS5.
2 million copies, I think, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if it was on PC as well. How many copies do you think it would sell?
Hey, I always go back to the argument of, remember when Rise of the Tomb Raider came out and it was supposed to sell 5 million copies and it sold 4.5 million copies and they called it a failure. So, which, that's a pretty good, number.
Obviously this game cost a lot of money to make.
It did.
But
it did.
I don't know. Also, maybe give it some time. It's only been a couple months.
Yeah,
it has for sure. The next article we actually got an email about. I'm trying to pull up here. So I'll read the email first and we'll go over it because I saw the article the other day. The funny thing is I saw the article like whatever morning I woke up and I was looking at IGN News and I read it and I said, boy, this is really fucking stupid. I wonder if someone will email it about this, because if I have that opinion, somebody else does. This comes to us from Kirk from Carrington, North Dakota. Hi, guys. Just found this podcast a few months ago, and I love it. I want to write in and see if you guys had any take on this ridiculous idea of tipping developers. They already nickel and dime gamers to death with microtransactions and season passes, so is this just an insane thing to suggest? So the article and what came out, it's the one dude, was it Mike Ibarra, who used to work at Microsoft for a long time, left to go work at Blizzard. Obviously, Microsoft came in and bought Blizzard. He's left again, which I think is hilarious. So he clearly has something against Microsoft. Like, I don't know why he'd leave a second time. But he has put out this, and I'll read the tweet because it's insane to me. He has put out this idea of tipping game developers. So he puts this out. I've thought about this idea for a while as a player since I've been diving into single player games lately. When I beat a game, there are some that just leave me in awe of how amazing the experience was. At the end of the game, I've often thought, I wish I could give these folks another $10 to $20 because it was worth more than my initial $70, and they didn't try to nickel and dime me every second. No, they do. They do. Come on. Games like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, etc. I know $70 is already a lot, but it's an option at the end of the game I wish I had at times. Some games are that special. I know most will dislike this idea. By the way, I realize that we are tired of tipping and everything else, but I view this different from a pressure to tip type scenario many face and give feedback on. I think it's a terrible fucking...
One of the most insane things I've ever heard.
Like, it's just... What are we talking... Like... most people are already mad that they're paying $70 now for a video game. Like,
and there's already been discussions about, can that hold?
I don't think it can. I think we're already seeing that.
Not when some of these games that are coming out are completely trash or garbage.
Well, here's the other argument I make. Look at something like Helldivers, which is a very complete experience that is $40.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's doing way better than is it still the number one selling PlayStation game this year? I think it is.
It's got to be up at the top.
If not, it's at the top of the list because it's also on Steam. So, it sold well there as well. So I'm pretty sure the last time I had looked, it is the number one selling game of the year. And I'm sure it's going to continue. So
it's arguably,
it just keeps selling.
I mean, it's absolutely like the biggest live service game in years.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, it's a live service game that works.
Right. Because
it works well.
It's fun. And B, they continuously add stuff to it.
And we've talked about, I mean, there are microtransactions in the game. Sure. There are things you can buy cosmetically, but you don't have to.
No, I have not spent
they don't push it. And all of the stuff that they're adding to that game, they're adding for free. All these updates, all these different events that they have, like kill 2 million of this bug.
And the thing about it too is like that process builds goodwill to the point where if they came out in a year and they were like, hey, we're going to do this like $30 expansion thing to the game, they could get away with it because at that point, then it's the cost of one game.
Yeah.
But it's been years and like, it's about building goodwill for like the community and stuff. Something breaks, they fix it. They make fun events. The important part about the game being a good live service game is like clips of it go viral because it's so insane.
How many TikTok and Instagram videos have you seen of this game?
And they're all great.
It's constantly.
Yeah.
And they're all good. Yeah.
Fantastic.
They're all great. So the idea of tipping is ridiculous.
But I mean, going on that as well, like if I buy a game and I think it's complete trash, can I talk to management and get a bigger discount?
Refund? Yeah, exactly.
Not even a refund. I want my money back, and I want a free coupon for the next time I come back.
There you go.
Like, is this an option?
Or what about the argument that how would you know where that money's actually going?
That's the other thing. Like,
you're saying that goes directly to developers? How do I have their PayPal in the game?
Yeah.
Here's my not going to. Maybe instead we just put all their Venmos at the end of the game in the credits.
There you go.
And that way you can just Venmo these guys like 6 cents. I thought it was 6 cents good and send him 6 cents.
There you go. It's a bad idea.
It is. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. It's also one of the most like entitled takes I've ever heard.
It's entitled, but also
Microsoft and
it also ironically
Blizzard.
Comes from a developer.
Right,
so that's
weird.
Weird.
Yeah, but not a low level totem pole guy who has to work 80
he's higher
hours
up.
a week and sleep under his desk.
Yeah.
He's the guy who rolls in and out and goes, "Hey gang," finger guns all the way down the hallway. Yeah. And he goes, "Hey Tim, can you come in here? You're fired."
Yeah. I gotta go golf now.
Later.
That's literally what it is. It's to answer your question, Kirk, it's a terrible idea. You're not the only one that thought that. So
I think
stupid.
I think if a game came out that had that as an option, the backlash would be unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It would be patched
it wouldn't happen
out of
again.
that game within a day.
You know, it's a better the way I would look at it is if you want a tip for your game, if you think the game's that good, you know what the tip is? Word of mouth. More people buy the fucking game.
Tell people about it.
Helldivers. would be the argument I would put again.
Helldivers is sold so much.
8 million copies so far. Is what I read.
That's not surprising.
That's insane. Like
February.
But think about how much of it is because people liked it. They went on Twitter and said it's great. They went on Instagram and said it's great. They told all their friends, like, hey, it's 4-player. You guys should all get it. Everybody bought it. They're playing. They tell the guy at work, like, everybody's playing Helldivers.
Yeah.
Well, it's the kind of thing that's like, even if you don't have a PS5, most people have a PC.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play with those, like, crossplay works. So, it's just, but yeah, that's the idea of tipping there is, okay, word of mouth, you sell more copies of your game. So
yeah, exactly.
That's your tip there. But
I like Matt's argument, though. Games
good.
Give me a free coupon.
I would like to be refunded, please.
How do I refund my time?
Right.
I want a free appetizer for my next purchase of the Forespoken 2.
Send me Darden gift cards.
More Ps5 Pro bullshit. We've talked about it. I feel like we've beaten this thing, to death. But they put out a new report came out. Ps5 Pro will emphasize ray tracing. That's not what people want.
No.
As developers told to prepare their games for new hardware.
Nobody wants it.
Which again, that part is ridiculous. Like, ray tracing is not the problem.
Let me ask
people want their games to run at 60 frames.
Say, what do you want? I want locked 60.
I want locked 60 and like maybe
preferably
if
4K.
This thing, I was gonna say, if you could tell me this system does 4K 60, I'm good. I don't need ray tracing.
No.
So, and then the other part of it I put in here, which is YouTube videos are actually being taken down that are talking about the specs. So that tells you it is real at this
they're
point.
Going on strike and that stuff.
They're not going to go on strike if it's not real.
No, we got how many months until fake E3? 2?
That's like June.
Yeah, that's when it probably gets announced.
Has anybody come up with a collective name for it? Like, we keep calling it fake E3, or some people just refer to it as E3.
It'll always be called E3 forever.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it actually is.
Summer Games Fest. I saw what did somebody call it? Keely 3 or something. There was somebody did a good acronym, and that made me laugh. But
Summer Games Fest is a different thing than fake E3.
It is.
So,
and it also goes longer.
Yes.
Like, he does stuff like throughout the summer. So
yeah.
I threw this in here just for anybody out there that does have the PlayStation Plus like premium. But I thought the main reason I threw it in here is I thought it was interesting. So 25 games, which I guess this is the most amount of games that have left the service. It's a lot. are leaving in May. But what I really wanted to point out with the article is that it's every Final Fantasy that's on there.
Game. It's all gone.
Even World of Final Fantasy, all of them. All of them are gone.
Everything.
Which is really weird.
Strange.
So, but yeah, again, just for people that have, if you have premium, just maybe take a look.
It proves that this service is at best the same as Game Pass, and at worst,
it seems like it. Yeah,
because they're purging a ton of stuff, and the stuff that they're adding is not good.
And the thing that's weird is they'll come out and say like, "Oh, we're not going to be like Game Pass because Game Pass gets stuff day one."
Right.
This service doesn't. But then they go behind and they do this like, here's Dave the Diver. And I think there was one other game this month.
Well, but Stray is a good argument.
Stray is a good example too. That was why I originally got the service.
Right.
Because at that point, it was like, well, you're paying $30 extra to have the service. So
might as well try it out.
I'm paying for Stray.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but now it's weird that they seem like every time they talk about it, they want to let you know, well, we're not Game Pass.
Well,
but then they go and do something.
And the weirdest part is like they're still adamant about not putting the big first party stuff on it.
That's weird too. Still.
I bring up this argument every time, and I know I say it every time. Baseball.
There's no reason.
There's no reason that last year's is not on there.
Yeah.
Right?
I think this year, I understand
also
why they would not want to put
this year, but
I understand why they don't want to do it day one on the PlayStation because they want those sales of that game.
Fine, but it's not Xbox.
I get that, and Xbox, I think they just wanted to draw people in,
right?
But put it up 3 months later on PlayStation then.
But again, there's no reason why the older ones are not on there. There's no detriment to having.
There's
all of them on there. You want to play
weird.
MLB 20? Fine. Who cares? Fine. It's part
all the way
of
back
the
to the streaming PS3. You want to do that.
God Lord, let's not.
I don't know if you want to play that. I don't think that would be very fun.
No,
but
that streaming stuff can barely handle Lego games. I don't think that the baseball thing would work pretty well.
Tell me it's gonna be hard to hit the ball.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's weird to me too that they don't there's other first party stuff too. It's just weird that they don't push on it harder.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if they ever decided to do it, they would raise the price even more.
I don't know if they can get away with raising the price.
You don't think they could? If they came out and said, hey, well, let's say this. If they came out and said, hey, every first party game is not going to hit this service day one, but it's going to cost X more now.
I don't know.
Do you think people would do
expensive?
It? I think it's too expensive, but
I mean, I didn't renew it last year. I haven't been.
Well, you didn't even. I don't even think you did Essential.
Oh,
right? Like you just because it's $80 just for Essential.
Yeah.
Which is garbage for garbage titles. I'm not going to play. No, I'm good, homeboy.
I need it for just online play and for the cloud saves. That's all I need it for.
Yep.
Yeah. So I shelled out that $80.
They have you over a barrel. You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. Online play needs to be divorced from both those. I still think
for both of them.
For both. That goes for Xbox as well. If you want to lock your stupid cloud saves behind it for that, fine. But my argument there is Microsoft gives you the cloud saves and you don't have to have gold.
Yes.
So it made having to get multiple Xbox One replacements, because remember how shitty that was in the beginning?
Yes.
A breeze, because it would just load all that shit from the cloud. So one thing that they did right in that generation. I threw this in here, obviously. Sea of Thieves, I think, did it launch today or is it next week for PlayStation? It's this month.
Yeah,
maybe it's next week.
20 something.
I want to say maybe the 22nd, 23rd.
I'll look it up real quick.
Okay. Sea of Thieves has hit 40 million active players right before this PS5 launch. So that's before. Okay. So that's 2 weeks before this game has even hit PS5.
Mm-hmm.
They're at 40 million players. And that's ridiculous. I saw it. I didn't put it in here because I saw it earlier today. But if you look at the top 10 digital right now list of games that are the top 10 sellers on the PlayStation Store, I think like 8 of them are published by Microsoft. Because they account count Fallout. And all those are up there. Yeah. So
Minecraft is probably always up there.
Minecraft is up there. Sea of Thieves obviously is very high up there because people are pre-ordering that like crazy. So
yeah.
City Skylines 2, which I never got a chance to play it, but because it sounds like it's a disaster.
Sounds like it's very bad.
Yeah. They had to refund the recent DLC. They admitted they rushed it out and apologized to disgruntled players. Like, players have been disgruntled since this game launched.
Yeah.
Because apparently it launched very broken. It's still not out on console either. It's only on PC.
I think it's going to be a while before you see it on console.
It's going to be a while as well. So, but yeah, maybe stay away from that one. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has been announced. It's out this fall, so that's what they've been working on for a while. I did watch the trailer. I tried playing this game on the Xbox when it came out because it has a very like Oblivion vibe to me, but it's like much more history.
Right.
It's not
much more medieval type stuff.
Yeah. It's a really cool game. It's got some really interesting writing, but I'm going to go back to it on PC. And try to go through it maybe this summer, but this sequel looks really, really good. And it seems like from the trailer I saw, which does show gameplay, the one thing I'll say is it seems like it runs very well on modern systems. So I think they might have just been a little too ambitious last generation with what they could do.
Yeah.
There's a rumor going out that in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get a new Mafia announced, which it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since 2016, I believe, was Mafia 3, which did you play Mafia 3? I did.
Played like half of it. I liked what I played.
I liked the story of it, but at some point the premise was amazing. The setting was amazing, but at some point the story started to kind of just fall off.
It's not a Mafia game after a certain point.
Yeah, it's at a certain point.
Yeah.
But I am all for another I love the original. I love 2. Like I said, I love the setting and the initial setup for 3.
Yeah, main character in 3 is good. Like
really cool.
The environment is awesome. It's just after a while, I just dropped out because it started to get kind of boring.
It got a little too samey with some of the missions and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm all for a new Mafia. It's been, like I said, 2016, so we're going on like 8 years.
Yeah,
so
weird.
That might be another one of those where I could argue they could get away with announcing and being like, it's out in 3 months, and it would sell well.
Maybe
people like Mafia, and you know what? I will say this: if you're the people making Mafia, you want to get that game out well before GTA.
You don't want it anywhere near it.
You don't want it anywhere near GTA, or that'll kill it. So maybe wise to start hyping that up. So this was going around the other day that Target is responding to report. Well, they responded to reports that they're abandoning physical media as a whole. Because there was a report that came out that by the end of 2025 they weren't going to be carrying any physical media at all. Now they've come out and said that they're going to carry like very few select titles. And the important thing to put in here is that they're saying at least now it's not going to affect games.
No,
they're specifically talking about DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff.
I'd imagine they'd only carry like popular stuff and maybe like TV sets because TV sets I feel sell.
They do, like every time I go into Walmart, and what kills me is they're regular DVDs. They're not Blu-ray, but they have like full box sets of different old TV shows. And they sell.
Yeah.
So, but they also said like certain times of the year they might have more, like Black Friday, Christmas time. They're going to have more stuff, obviously, for that time of year. But the funny thing is when I read that originally, it said 2025. Like that makes sense to me.
It does.
When I read that, like it does make sense. Like that timeline makes sense. So I believe it.
Yeah.
I thought this is funny. Fallout 4 is very high up on the sales list thanks to the show, which we'll talk about the show in a little bit here. But
it's not surprising.
In the UK, it's like the number 1 selling game right now digitally.
Well, you've got that. You've got the expand or the update is next week.
The update is next Friday.
Yeah.
So, which I'm excited. I'm excited to install it on my Xbox and then wait about 2 hours for it to sync my 170 some saves. Because I did that for Starfield on PC, and it literally took an hour to sync my 100 saves. So
that's wild.
And then I went through and deleted a bunch. So I feel like that's what's going to happen. But I want to see what they do with it on the Xbox. I'm really curious
to play it again recently, and then I remembered, they're making that patch. I was just going to wait. And then now it's, next
Do you have it on PlayStation?
Yeah, it was part of the, remember, if you had bought a PS5 at launch, it was part of that set of games.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. And then I probably did too there.
The game, like all the DLC at one point for $10.
Maybe
like, combined.
Maybe I'll do a new run of it there on PlayStation. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
but I'm curious to see
what it's like. Yeah,
I am as well. And then some stuff that actually came out today. So apparently, obviously, Silent Hill 2 remake, which who knows when the fuck it's coming out. They apparently have redesigned how the main character looks to make him look more like the original character from 2 instead of the like newer version.
It's a good thing. It's probably what it should look like.
It is, and like it's weird that I don't remember people complaining about that in any of those trailers. I don't remember
that ever being the problem people had with that.
I remember the combat was the problem people had, but and then this was the last minute breaking news. Here was the Little Big Planet 3 servers are officially shut down indefinitely.
I saw that today.
Indefinitely, which is a bummer.
Forever.
It sucks because there's a lot of cool. It's like whenever they do eventually shut down like Mario Maker servers,
Mario Maker,
you're gonna lose all that stuff.
Is dead soon.
It is. Yeah. It's dead now.
Is it? Oh, I think it is dead now.
The Wii U, yeah. No. So that's a bummer. So many good, and I'll still always argue that was the better than 2, just because that game was so made for that system,
right? With
the tablet and everything. But that is a bummer. So, but yeah, that wraps up news. Like I said, a lot of just like random things that happen. Nothing like major, but just a lot of smaller things. So, we can kick over to movies and I guess TV shows because some of us have watched Fallout. Which we can talk about in a minute. I'm going to talk about the hot movie I've seen this week, which Matt, you saw as well, because I told you right after I watched it, you should watch it. I've been telling everybody they should watch it. One that I wanted to see when it came out in theater, but knew it'd be up in about 2 weeks, which I was right. And that is the hot Immaculate, starring Sydney Sweeney. And I went into it. I wanted to see the movie because I thought that the premise was interesting, but I also went into it thinking, okay, I've seen this type of movie many times.
Yeah.
And what I'll say about it, the reason why I enjoyed it as much as I did, and I think you're in the same camp, Matt, is it has that trope, but it doesn't go for what you normally would expect. It has a twist to it that goes in a different direction than what you would expect from this type of movie, especially considering 2 weeks later, they put out the first Omen, and I don't even have to watch that to tell you what's happening in the first Omen in comparison to this. That's why I was more excited about this one, because at least I look at the first Omen, I go, okay, well, that's going to be the birth of the Antichrist. I know what that movie is going to be. This, I don't know what direction they're going to take it. I think if anybody's ever had an argument that this girl can act, which obviously that thing's been going on in the news the last day, she showcases that she can do a really good job in this movie.
I think she's probably better suited to like these kinds of movies.
I agree. I would like to see her do another horror movie after seeing this.
Because like we talked about when Matt and I watched that other one, like she's okay. It's just she doesn't seem like she fit in.
No, this seems like it fit comedy way more. So
but the way I think, the only thing is when I watched this movie, I didn't think it was a horror movie.
It's not. I didn't find it scary. The thing I'll say, and this is the reason why Dan will stay away from it, it is gory, like way gorier than I would have. I didn't expect. Like an example I'll give is like somebody jumps off of a roof and hits the ground face first. Fine, whatever. But when they pull this person back, like you see their fucking face just kind of. And I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. There's somebody else gets their tongue cut out. They show that.
Yeah, that's wild.
I thought, because like when it was happening, they're pulling this person's tongue out and the guy's picking up the knife. I'm like, oh, they're probably not going to show. Oh no, they just showed that. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Like when it has gore, it goes for it. And I'll say too, like we won't spoil the end of the movie, but it is, I think for the unexpected, this is a movie that I did read some of the premise of it before I saw it when it came out. So I knew how it was going to end. I did not know what the twist of the movie was. But when you get to that point, if you're not expecting that, I think it will be shocking for some people because it's kind of out of left field of like, okay, this is happening. And that did just happen kind of a thing. So, but I think it's and I think the other reason why I liked how the movie ends is because they don't show that thing. And you know what I mean, Matt. Okay.
Yeah.
Like a lot of movies, especially horror movies, have this terrible, the example I always like to give is like A Quiet Place. Really, really cool movie. Like great horror movie. They show those monsters way too much. I didn't need to see them like ever. You could have shown them in the shadows and I would have been fine, but they showed way too much of that. And I think that hurts that movie. I think anytime they show what is supposed to be the scary thing too much, it hurts it. And in this case, they made an incredibly smart decision at the end of this movie not to show that.
Yeah.
You just hear it. And that's enough. So I think her performance is really good. I think the guy that plays like the head priest, not the main head priest, but the guy that's like kind of helping her as she gets there, is really good too. So
yeah, I enjoy. I don't think I found. So when I saw it, I didn't really think anyone was bad in it. I think everybody that was in it fit their role well. I think they all portrayed their role really well. I will say that I kind of knew, again, just from the name Immaculate, I kind of knew where the story was going. But I will say the ending was a solid way to end it, because like you said, it doesn't show, but you hear it, which is actually pretty cool, because it kind of left me going like, well, what is it?
What are you going to do? Yeah.
Right? What's happening?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. It's gory, and like
it's Kyle a movie that doesn't need a sequel.
It really doesn't, and I really hope it doesn't either.
I do too. Yeah.
But all in all, it was good. I think Sydney Sweeney does a really good job. The only problem I really have with her is sometimes when they do close-ups of her face, she looks like a deer in headlights, and sometimes I can't get past it. Like, her eyes are, at moments, they can get so big that it just kind of doesn't.
I know what you mean.
What's happening sometimes, but I mean, aside from her, I think she's overall, she's probably become one of my favorites this year, as far as like someone who does. I feel like she does the best in the roles that she possibly can.
Yeah,
like, even in that romantic comedy movie we saw, like me and Dan saw, she wasn't bad. Like, I didn't have anything really negative to say about her.
More how that movie was written.
It was just more like the movie was just bad.
The movie has problems for sure, but I just don't think it's a genre like that she's best in.
Yeah,
right, exactly. So, I mean, I think definitely give it a shot. If you're not a gore person, don't watch it, because there are like several scenes that do have like hits of gore on it, and it's just, if you're not one of those people, just don't watch it. But if you are,
I'll also say, like, when they get to the twist, like, it is ludicrous. Oh, like, I laughed out loud when they revealed what the twist was, but I said, you know what? Like, when it happened, I laughed at first, and then I said, you know what? This is going against this trope, so I'm for it. Like, let's ride this train to the end. Let's see where it goes. Yeah.
You laughed. In my head, I thought, they're really doing this somewhere. Because you text me that after you watch, like, somebody's probably really trying to do this somewhere. In
like,
my brain,
I can believe that.
All I could thought about is because it's, and if you watch it, you'll understand where we're going with that. In my head, that was immediately the first thing. Like, when he started breaking it down, I was like, you know what? This is
probably
too real
somewhere in the basement. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some people in a basement trying to work this out some dude
in the back corner, chain smoking, looking over some filthy documents. Like,
for sure.
Exactly.
An empty envelope with like saliva. It's just yeah. If you, let me put it to you this way: if you end up watching this movie Immaculate and you want to write in and say something about it, please do, because you'll understand what we say if you give it.
Yeah. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It's my horror movie to beat for the year now, but I have not been able to watch it before we recorded. I know you will watch it before, but we now will be able to watch Late Night with the Devil, which I really want to see really bad. So I just got that today. So I'm looking forward to that. The only other thing I watched, and Dan, you've seen more of it than I have.
Yeah.
But we can talk about this is the Fallout show.
Yes.
I've seen the first episode.
I am through.
You've seen 3?
Yes.
Okay. I will say the only thing that took me out of it, and I don't know if you saw or if you caught this or not, but when they get to the characters that are in the Brotherhood of Steel, the one actor from Superstore is there with the mustache.
Don't let that take you out of it.
Okay, it took me out of it every time I saw him. I'm like,
I like it because I saw him too.
Yeah.
You see him more, and I will say that I had a thought when he came back, and I was like, you know what? This guy's actually pretty solid actor.
It is okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because his role is really good.
Okay.
I like him in it.
I will say, like, so I've only seen the first episode. We started last night because we wanted to finish season 2 of Invincible, which is very good, by the way. But I liked it. It feels like a new game.
I think it's incredible in a way. I think it's incredible. It's
the cousin stuff's a little weird.
Well, but it makes. I mean, if you think about the lore of like vaults and Fallout, this is probably one of the less creepy ones of.
Oh yeah,
of some of the other stuff. Imagine making a show about the Gary Vault in Fallout 3. Everybody's just Gary.
I will also say, like, I did not see the twist of that other vault coming, but it was a very cool way to implement faction.
What I really like about this show is how it goes between Lucy and it goes between Max from the Brotherhood, and then it goes between the Ghoul, and you get pieces and parts of their story.
That's how the other episodes are too.
You get that, and then you also get the moments where they cross paths and then they separate.
So they do cross.
Yes,
okay,
it's kind of like they're weaving these three together to tell the story of what's going on. You get a lot. The first episode is really just a setup for who these three people are and the beginning of their journeys to do what they're going to do.
As far as you've watched, have they gone more into explaining the idea of a ghoul and why, I know the reason why, because I played the games.
It's all slow burn stuff.
Because my girlfriend is asking, I'm like, I'm sure they're probably going to explain it better than I can.
You only get a little bit of each of their stories every episode.
Okay.
And then there's also, they add in a fourth part where you go to the vault again. Because the vault's trying to rebuild her brother. That's trying to rebuild all this stuff.
Okay.
So you're going to learn more about so there's actually 3 vaults down there, not just a 2. And their
that was the other thing that was a little weird to me.
Their vault design is how the 3 of them work together. And and it's funny because right before, as I was watching episode 2, a question popped into my head about something that happened in the first one. I was like, well, how did that happen? 5 minutes later, they explain it. I'm like, okay, so they thought of it. Like but that's the thing about this show. You can tell they have thought about this world and how this world works and how to make it fit within the confines of stuff that already exists in this world.
It seems like, and I'll compare it to Halo in this way. It seems like the people behind it actually care about what they're making.
Yes.
And respecting the 30 years of lore of this franchise and trying to craft a story around that isn't, I mean, yes, are there some things like I mentioned, the cousin thing's a little weird. It doesn't make sense in the context of Fallout. Absolutely. Yeah. But it is a weird thing at first when you hear that, because you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. But then you think about it, like, oh, that makes sense in Fallout. But they're not taking away anything from it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Halo, it's, hey, here we have this franchise. We wrote a new timeline, so we can just do whatever we want.
No, yeah, they didn't do that. They are building on stuff from the games, and like obviously the sets in this are amazing.
I will say
quality of this show.
When they started showing the airships was what impressed me.
Like she gets to like the first major town, and there's just tons of like little Easter eggs of other things.
Where are they on the map?
Hollywood.
In this show?
Hollywood.
Okay.
It makes sense if you think about the guy.
It makes sense when you think about the beginning.
Yeah. If you think about the ghoul, like he was an actor.
I also think that was a really good way to set up the show.
God, that destroyed the first 10 minutes of that show. That hurt. Yeah. That hurt, man.
It's pretty rough beginning. So.
As a parent, that first 10 minutes of that show is
pretty rough. But it's good. We'll definitely dive into it more.
I'm actually glad that I'm not like burning through it, because obviously, like, they announced season 2 today. Awesome. Because it's the most popular show they've had.
It's more. I'll say this. It's more popular than Rings of Power. So.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think, and on as far as Amazon exclusives, it has to be.
But it respects its audience, whereas Rings of Power does not.
This is very much for people who are fans of the games, and it shows, because like people are playing Fallout 76 more than they've ever played Fallout 76.
And like I said, like you can take somebody who's not played the games, and they can watch this and be fine.
If you have no reference.
You might have questions like I said, my girlfriend has never played a Fallout game, and she, as we watched first episode, like she definitely had some questions.
Well, and the other thing too
about
is
it, but
they're gonna explain more about it.
Exactly.
Because when they do more of like the Ghoul storyline, there's stuff from him before the bombs.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
so they're gonna build up like what Vault-Tec actually is, and because like obviously that's stuff that's a slow burn in the games where you learn that Vault-Tec actually sucks because it's all experiments on people.
Yeah.
So they're gonna explain more of that as it goes. I love it.
Have you seen any creatures yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Episode 3 is very big on a creature episode.
Okay.
There's been, a paladin for the Brotherhood of Steel running around.
That's cool.
There's a good like fight scene between a whole bunch of people. It's a brutal show.
They're like that first episode. There's a couple eyeball scenes that were like, oh wow.
The second and third one, there's some brutal shit too. It's pretty good.
Okay.
But it again, context of the game.
I will also say I like the catalyst for the show is she's out there searching for her dad.
There's that, but there's another part.
There's another part,
and
too.
It's kind of what brings all three of them together.
Interesting. Okay.
Has them go off and on.
Okay. I would assume that has to do with the villain.
Yes and no.
Okay.
And there's another character you'll meet in the second one that's important. And it's a guy you'll recognize from other shows.
Yeah, but highly recommend.
Very great show. Even, like you said, even if you don't like the games or haven't played the games, it's still a phenomenal TV show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm probably going to watch another couple this weekend just to keep it going.
Why don't you tell me the other thing you have on here? Because I didn't even know you had watched this.
For whatever, I got to talking with a friend of mine about it, and he asked me about it because the episode 5 had just dropped of X-Men 97.
Okay.
And he's like, "Did you watch it?" And I said, "No, I haven't watched any of it because I don't have Disney Plus right now." And he said, "Well, here, I'll give you mine, and you can watch it." And I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "All right, I'll watch X-Men." Part of the reason I never really watched the cartoon before. I was a Spider-Man guy, so I only really watched the Spider-Man cartoon. And
I watched bits and pieces of it, but I watched more of the Spider-Man cartoon.
But he was like, "You got to watch this," and then there's rumors that Spider-Man might show up in this one, and then would we get a sequel show to that? That'd be cool. Great. So I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it," and I just powered through it because they're like the 40-minute length, but they don't feel that long. What I will say about it is I'm still not super into it because there's too many storylines and they're trying to pull in too much up in the comics and explain stuff away, whatever. Episode 5 is fucked up, like to the point where, yes, this is a sequel to a children's cartoon. It is no longer a children's cartoon.
It is that's what that was the question I was going to ask.
It has changed significantly. I won't spoil it, but something insane happens, and some characters don't exist anymore. And it is people you wouldn't think that would die. They're dead.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's obviously the first episode.
They let them take a risk with it.
They let them do it. Like they kind of let them do what they want and say, "We're going to have this big set piece, and we're going to kill off people that people don't want to die."
Might be upset. Die. Yeah. Okay.
And it really makes it. I haven't watched episode 6 yet, even though it's out. It's going to change the dynamic of the show even more than it already was. Because the first series ends with Professor X is gone. And Cyclops is kind of there, and Jean and whatever. This series begins with Magneto taking over. Like, Charles left the school to me. I'm in charge. And they're all like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Kind of a thing.
That's weird.
But they kind of build this thing with him where it's tense, but it's okay. And it's all building towards this whole like mutant rights thing, and then everything goes fucking sideways in episode 5, and it's crazy. And so I'm interested to see what happens.
How many episodes are there going to be total?
10, I think.
Okay. But they did. I think they did make 2 seasons, or there are going to be at least 2 seasons.
I think this has been popular enough where it's at least coming back for another one.
Okay.
I will say that there are a couple people that died. One of them is. They're dead. Like, they're dead.
Okay.
The other one, what's the rule? You don't see his dead body.
Yeah, then no.
So I don't think he's dead. I told my buddy, I said, I really don't think that person's dead, just because it's not confirmed. The other one is fucking confirmed. Like, it's crazy. Okay. So the other person will be back, but in what way? Is it going to set up something for next season? I have a theory of what it's going to cause to happen. I won't say what it is because it would give it away, but I'm far more interested in this than I was in
the original cartoon.
Yeah, it's more interesting to watch.
Okay. Matt, you have a movie on your list that I am shocked I haven't watched yet.
Yeah, you talking about Knox Goes Away?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw it up. Ironically, I saw a TikTok video of a girl who was talking about it, and I remembered seeing it. So I was like, let me go check this out. I got nothing else to do tonight. And it is interesting. So it's Michael Keaton.
That would be the reason I would watch it.
There you go. He is a hitman. However, he is a hitman with a rare disease of
isn't it like I was gonna say, isn't it like Alzheimer's? Okay.
Yes. But it's not as like Alzheimer's as like slower. This one is like a rapid type of disease. I forget what they call it. However, it's like days when he gets the news that he just starts slowly like slipping.
Okay. So it's very fat, like it's very rapidly.
Yeah, it's a rapidly happening thing. I think he plays really well in it for what he had to do.
He directed it as well, so which is interesting.
I saw that too. I will say the story is, while it's kind of slow because of how it has to be played.
Yeah.
The ending is wild.
Okay.
What happens?
That sells me more on
how it gets to where it gets to.
Okay.
It's pretty crazy how it happens.
All right.
So I will say, since you are a Michael Keaton fan, I think you'll enjoy it a lot.
I actually wanted to go. I was actually one of those movies where it was only out in the theater by me for like a week. And it was one of those things where I was like, I was going to ask my dad, because my dad, obviously, that's how I know Michael Keaton. My dad was a huge Michael Keaton fan. And I was going to text and be like, why don't we just go? But the only show times were like 4:00 in the afternoon or 9:00 at night. Like, that's terrible times to go to a movie. So.
I will say,
and then it was up digital right away. Yeah. It's high on my list.
It's very good. I give it like a 7.
Okay.
Like I said, the twist is pretty interesting how it happens. I don't want to give anything away because I think you'll enjoy it the most.
Well, it's like right under me watching Late Night with the Devil. That's my top. Like, I want to see it so bad.
Definitely.
So
I think I enjoyed it. I went in with the not sure what it was about.
Okay.
Because the girl didn't give too much away.
Yeah.
So, but when I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is. I see where it's going. It's very interesting. So,
is it Al Pacino? Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
And he is old.
He's. I mean, he is looking his age.
They need to stop dragging him out on stage for things.
For award shows. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Please put Al in a box and leave him be. Like. He's good. He's done his time.
Okay.
I also finished watching A Quiet Place Part 2.
I have not seen A Quiet Place Part 2.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
The first one I enjoyed a lot. I really liked the premise of it. This one was really good.
You know what I enjoyed about going and seeing the original one in the theater? Because of what the movie is. People, like, we get in the theater, and this is pre-COVID, so people would pack theaters. People buy all sorts of like popcorn, candy, everything. Nobody in that fucking movie, because of what it is, wanted to even touch their popcorn or candy because it's a quiet fucking movie.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I will say, from the original to this one, there's more dialogue.
Okay.
But because of what's happening and the situation they're put in, the dialogue is understandable.
Okay.
I think the girl who, like the little girl who plays the deaf girl in the first one.
Yeah.
I think she does a really good job
in this one. Okay.
Yeah, I think she does a really good job. She kind of becomes like the front runner of this, and Emily Blunt kind of takes a backseat to her.
Interesting.
In this one.
Okay.
So I think that's why I enjoyed this one more. I think it highlighted her more as an actress.
Interesting.
And that was really cool. So
isn't this summer there's like a prequel or something coming out to it?
It's like Quiet Place Day One, I think is what they're referring to.
Okay.
So
interesting.
After watching this, I am really even more interested to see how it begins. This one is.
Okay.
Because like, while me and you were talking about it earlier, how they show the monsters too much.
They did in the first one, I felt.
Yeah, I think in this one they show them a good bit too.
Okay.
But it fits a little better, I think, in this one.
Okay.
So being off of that, I am more interested to see what day one is about now.
Okay.
And like how because like it's going to be about different people. So I'm more interested to see how they do it. So I will say if you haven't seen it and you enjoyed the first one, I think you'll enjoy the second one too.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's maybe I will get to it as well, but the Michael Keaton one is up there for me as well. So maybe this weekend. Maybe this weekend. So but we can go ahead. We can kick over to emails here. We're gonna start emails.
I know you're very.
We're gonna start it. You're very excited.
You're very excited for this.
I'm very excited for this. So we're gonna do something different with emails, where we're gonna just do the GameStop ones we get first, because I think it fits better. But we're gonna give it a little bit of an intro, which I'll play really quick, that I think fits GameStop in 2024.
When you hear this sound,
employees.
You'll know what's next. Is basically
yes.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
That's the great Keith David. So we'll go ahead. We'll jump in.
Can you tell Kyle got a soundboard thing where we can have clips?
I got a soundboard. Woo-hoo. So no, I got a new. My mic was the microphone that I use. I have gone through like 6 different cables, and I got to. I'm like, I need to get something better at this point. We're at episode 59 here. It's time.
Time for real.
So it's time to upgrade a little bit. So our first email we got comes from Grant from Redacted. Says, howdy 572 crew, longtime listener of the podcast. First time I'm writing in. I'm writing in about the current state of metrics we have in my district, and I assume it's probably the same company wide. As a store, we are now expected to make the following weekly: 50 reserves, 10 pro cards, 5 credit cards, and don't even get me started on PRP and GPGs, which the former there is almost impossible to get now thanks to how they royally fucked over how the PRPs work. 50 reserves in 2024. It is not possible. The closest my store came to hitting that goal one week was 27, and that was right before Rebirth came out. Now we are entering a period of the year where there isn't much. Sure, Stellar Blade is doing decent for us, but I'm not going to suddenly get 50 reserves on that game. Recently, my DM started to push the store and the numbers. At this point, it's just myself, my ASM, and 1/3 key manager. I've been threatened at the point that if the numbers don't pick up, one of my key holders will have to go. And any logical excuse given to me is just met with that's understandable, but these are the goals. I'm pretty close to my 2 key holders, and we are all actively looking to get out of the company, but so far, none of us have had any luck. Any ideas or words of advice?
Keep applying.
Keep applying.
I mean, that's number one, is to just keep trying. Don't let rejection or rejection in the form of being ignored deter you. That just means, honestly, especially if it's a place that doesn't even answer you, it's not a place you probably want to work in the first place.
No.
But the goal numbers, it's hitting, desperation levels again. And we went through these cycles too. Like
we did too.
Even 8 years ago, we went through these cycles. But 50 reserves a week now
is in 2024.
That's 7 a day. That's unreasonable. To reserve what? Stellar Blade's going to get some people, sure.
Stellar Blade will get some people, but it's a game that's on one system.
Paper Mario for Switch will get some people.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're talking about, like, there's not a new Pokemon game. Call of Duty's probably going to be on Game Pass. it's just reserving stuff isn't as big of a deal as it used to be, and a lot of that's because traffic in GameStop stores isn't as big of a deal as it used to be.
Yeah.
And let's talk about my favorite part of this email. Remember how they said they weren't going to track credit cards?
Yeah,
five a week.
5 a week.
Oh, that's strange. They told them they weren't going to track them, and what did we say? If it's something that can be tracked, it will be tracked. And you will be held accountable for it. Because they tracked that like crazy when it was out, when we had it.
Yeah.
It was like 2 a day.
I want to say at its peak.
Yeah, it was like 2 a day. And we were like, that is insane.
We ever hit 2 a day? Maybe in the holidays.
You would get. I told you before, like we'd get the dumb days where a guy and his 3 dumb friends would all apply, so we loved it.
And they get their low level like $200 limit,
$50. The DM. Again, this is one of those things where we talk about that position is just so irrelevant. It's insane.
It is.
It's them getting shit on and shitting on you. It's either A, they're getting shit on and shitting on you, or B, they're a shitty person. And a lot of times it's the second one. But I love that the idea is if you don't hit these outrageous goals, you'll have to fire a key holder. How does that help?
What is that? How does that help? A and
How
B, like what
benefit anyone?
What are you going to do? Bring in someone else?
Who am I bringing in?
Yeah, unless they're coming from a different store. If there's somebody new, wouldn't that be worse?
Right. If it's somebody off the street who doesn't know the job, is going to be credit cards at a failing video game corporation. I don't know. I don't understand how it improves.
Yeah.
What games am I reserving? I don't understand how that improves. Even figures and pops and stuff are down in terms of all of this stuff.
It is.
As someone who used to buy a lot of Hasbro and Marvel stuff, I don't even buy that anymore. Because it's all garbage now.
Yeah.
Like it's I wish there was some kind of like thing we could tell you that would help you get better numbers and stuff. Outside of you have to ask, and I know that sucks, but if you care enough that you just don't want to get in trouble from this, and the only other option is to ask, or you resign yourself to, I'm just going to do it the way I've always done it, and I'm going to just keep looking to get out. And those are really your best options. And from what I've heard too, this is like kind of a side tangent, but someone I know, the health plan at that place is changing again.
I had heard something about that, actually.
Boy, does it sound worse. And my initial thought was, how does this help line his golden parachute? Because that's all it's doing.
That's all it is.
Yes.
That's all it's for.
All of it is filling up his take it and run reserve sack. And when that hits the top of the sack, he bails and nothing's left. And it just crumbles in on itself.
We have to be getting close to that point.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Another year or two.
This is the same thing everyone says all the time. I don't know how they're like. It's because it just does. It just exists at this point. It's just a force of nature. But
we can get into that a little more after the next email, though.
Yeah.
Because it'll make more sense.
Go ahead.
Our other GameStop email guy comes from Vale from Redacted. Howdy, 572 crew. I don't know how much you guys pay attention to the gaming news outside of the U.S., but I'm curious what your thoughts are on what happened with UK video game retailer Game, and if you think that's a precursor to GameStop's future. A little context: I'm an SL at a decently operating store. We aren't at the top of what's left of my district, but we are far from the bottom. Every day I just feel like it's going to be that day. Either I get the call or my DL walks in and tells me it's over. It's happened to 2 other mid-tier stores in my district within the last 6 months. I'm still working on getting out of here, but so far I've had nothing bite on my resume. Anyways, what do you all think? Thanks. I mean, that was kind of, I thought that was kind of shocking when I read it the other day, but I think you and I had the game stuff, but I think you and I had talked behind the scenes that, like, I think that's kind of what will happen here at GameStop is it's just going to be a sudden thing when it does happen.
It's going to be, the thing about the game stuff is, basically everyone is, your job isn't guaranteed anymore, essentially, which is essentially, you're fired and we're closing, but we aren't yet.
Yeah.
GameStop, I think, would arguably go. I think it might be harder than that. I think it might just be, don't show up for work tomorrow. It might be the kind of thing where something happens at the top and they're like, okay, every store's closed for the next 2 days while we try to figure this out. And, something like that, where it's like a crisis almost kind of a thing.
Kind of, yeah.
That seems more likely to me than them just telling you. I mean, at GameStop, your hours and pay are basically already not super guaranteed as it is. And a lot of your pay isn't very good.
Unless you're the SL or maybe the ASL.
But even then.
Or ASL.
Val's point about, we're at the top in the district, we're not at the bottom. Like, does it seem like my store is going to close? I can tell you from experience that means nothing. Because there's a dozen other factors of why your store could close. That's how our store was. We weren't the best. We weren't the worst. We were fine. We were profitable. Didn't matter. Our landlord sucked.
It didn't matter that we were in at the time when that store closed, we were in such a shitty location where everything around us had pretty much closed with the exception of the terrible trampoline place. But because we were known as the GameStop in our town,
we were
even though there was another one. Yeah. And that had been there since Funkoland. That's where people would go because that's what they remember.
Right.
And we weren't awful to people. So if you were cool, we were cool to you and you'd come back. That was the thing. Yeah.
Definitely helped. But we didn't close because of profitability or reservation goals and pro cards like other people are dealing with or credit cards or any of that kind of stuff. That's why we closed.
You closed because you pushed too hard.
We closed because I was a dick to the landlord because he deserved it. And he was terrible at every facet of being a human being.
The bird in the store.
The birds.
That happened several times.
Yeah, the multiple birds, the open
the
propane
roof.
Fire.
Oh my God. I forgot about that too.
The burst pipe, which the burst pipe produced the open propane fire.
I remember when that happened because we were working with our other friend. Were you there when it happened too? Okay.
I was behind the counter.
Okay.
He was up in that corner and you were like.
Because he's who discovered it.
Because he was going to vacuum. And that's where we would normally plug in the vacuum because the interactives were there and that's where this power strip was.
Yeah.
So he went over there. I remember because I was standing behind the counter. I think I was counting or getting ready to count down the drawer and you were putting stuff away or something.
Yeah.
And he just goes, the floor over here is really squishy. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about squishy? He goes, it's really wet. I'm like, what? And I thought
I walk over there.
Your first thought is like, great, did some kid pee in here? Because
that's what I thought too, yeah.
But then you go over there and no, this whole corner is wet.
Like water.
Something's very wrong.
Because I remember then you went outside to look at the next store because it was empty because that's where the blood bank used to be and they were gone at this point, and that's where you saw just burst fucking.
There was just water everywhere. It was just like pouring. It was in the wall in between our stores, and it was just like pooling everywhere. So when we find because it had gotten too cold because. Remember, this is all the domino effect. And that reason that building got too cold is because he harvested the AC heating unit parts. He got his landscaper buddy to harvest an HVAC unit for parts to try to repair ours and his. And then never thought about it again. So that building was probably getting down to like 40 degrees. 30 degrees, whatever.
Yeah.
Because remember, he also broke our HVAC unit the same way. And that one day I went in, it was like 52 degrees. And it just kept getting colder. But so like everything was a domino effect. And then just pushed back to the point where we got to the point where our store was making money. We had made profit 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Despite all odds. And my boss came in Black Friday.
I think it was Black Friday. I was gone.
Black Friday night because I opened and I came back.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, let's go to Jimmy John's. He told me, he's like, the landlord, we wanted to stay for 3 years and he told us no. Because he had finally had enough of my complaining.
You imagine if you would have stayed another 3 years, you would have been there for COVID.
I don't know. Oof.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be
2018,
fair,
2019, and 2020.
Hindsight's 2020, and we give out the advice all the time about please leave, please leave.
Yeah.
I probably would have stayed for a while. And just because it's close to my house, it was easy. I knew what I was doing. Yeah. The store was fine. But COVID would have been a rough time to do that because I would have been down to probably 4 employees. I'm sure I could have used COVID to get rid of a bad employee we had, but yeah, that would have sucked. Having to be open, get yelled at by the cops. Not only that, but like, imagine if COVID had hit while we were still there. We would have been the only thing open.
In that shopping center.
Trampoline phase for sure wouldn't have been open.
There's no way they could have opened.
The China buffet couldn't have been open.
No, we would have been the only thing because remember they tried to argue that they were essential.
Right, because they sold batteries. And then there was the GNC at the end. That probably would not have been open.
I don't think that would have been there by that point anyway.
It lasted longer than you think it did.
Yeah, it did.
We would have been the only thing. That would have been awful. Wow.
It was already scary enough walking outside at night like when it closed.
We bitch. I bitch because the guy closed us. But I happily thought about it. Could have taken another store because they would have fired the guy and just said no. Like I get max severance. That means I cannot work for like a month and I'll be fine. I'm out. And then you got me a job a month later. It was nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the game stuff is a little weirder. Like, I'm actually kind of surprised game is still kicking.
I am too.
GameStop, I think, will be more of a Thanos snap than anything else. Or one day they just
Thanos snap as he's jumping out of the plane with his parachute.
As he's smiling. He'll be Thanos putting the sunglasses on when he snaps.
There you go.
Yeah, I could see it being a crazy situation where the message goes out to everybody. Don't come into work tomorrow. We're trying to figure everything out. Your DM will provide you with further updates. And then all of a sudden you hear that like, well, this guy's gone. That guy's gone. This guy's gone. The other guy's gone. Nobody's really in charge of this. Tech support is shut off. And
do you think do you think it ever gets to the point where they just get rid of all the DMs and just rely on regionals?
I don't know. They seem to still think that the DM job means something.
It's crazy to me that they haven't done that yet.
They're figureheads, babysitters who
they are
also dangerous because they don't know anything. So, yeah.
They may have at one point, but at some point they get to that position and then they get corrupted.
Certain ones do. The ones that are kiss asses enough to generally get into that spot are the ones that are the fastest to leave the store behind and immediately blame the stores for every problem that they're facing while providing no actual help. And then they make a video about PlayStations with signs from the Holocaust in it.
Yeah.
And you kind of sit there and go, you were promoted.
That's the video I saw.
How did you get this job? Yeah.
You couldn't play that video today.
You couldn't play that video then.
I know.
It's the Holocaust.
I don't understand. Like, the more I think back in that, I don't understand how he did not get in trouble for that video. Certain things
are such a big event. They happen once in a lifetime. He should have just shown the plane hitting the second tower. This is exactly what it's going to be like.
We'll explain. We should explain for context because it's probably been like 23 episodes we talked about this. So the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One launches, which were a week apart, were coming out. And our district manager, and the thing I'll stress here is it was just this manager. This wasn't a GameStop made video. This is a video this man made. And he had played it at the store leader meeting for all the store leaders. He had played it for all the assistants at their meeting. And then for a weird reason, they decided to have a third key / fourth key.
To be fair, it's a big deal. And everyone who's in charge who can be in the store by themselves should know this. We had 3 separate meetings, one for each level.
So I had to roll up to watch this meeting, and I had heard about it. I had already been warned 2 times. Yeah, I had already been warned 2 times by Dan and our assistant at the time. Like, you're going to see this video, and it's going to fuck your mind that this is even a thing. And I'm like, all right. And that the only things that were told to me was PlayStation, Xbox, Holocaust.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I will kid you not, this video this man made was you had wasn't there a picture of the towers?
Right. It was only like
it's quick
3 minutes.
But it was like
no, there was no picture.
There was no towers. Okay, I can't remember.
Even though the Holocaust is bad, if I had seen anything regarding 9/11, I probably would have lost my mind in that meeting.
But there were all these different events throughout history, right? And then so it's I don't even remember what the other ones are because it's been so long. But it's like this event, that event, and none of them had anything to do with each other. They were big events, right?
Like that.
The moon landing, and then they have a picture of the Holocaust.
Oh,
and then here's a PlayStation 4 logo.
It was like old black
here's
and
an
white
Xbox logo.
Nazi
yeah.
imagery.
And then with the text, these things only happen once in a lifetime.
PlayStation's actually happened this 4 times, but okay.
And you could hear a pin drop in that meeting because everybody was just in shock.
Whoever I was sitting next to at the time, I swear we just looked at each other and we're like, "You saw that, right?" Yes.
that was literally because I sat next to our other key holder, you know, who's at my level at that time. And I remember looking at him like, well, they weren't wrong. It's a real video. Like we heard about it. We've seen it. I kid you not. So
once in a
for
lifetime.
Context, that's what it was. And it was a horrible
thing.
He
didn't cut in a clip of 9/11, man. I swear.
I really thought it was in there.
No,
so.
if he did, I would have lost it. He should have photoshopped.
I can't believe it.
He should have photoshopped.
I can't believe I saw
PlayStation slamming into the tower, you know, and just be
it should have been shown back then, but in today's age, like he would have been fired for that without question. Somebody would have complained and been like,
that would have been a little. I mean, Holocaust is a lot. That would have been too much. 9/11
it would have been too much today. So, but yeah,
I mean, even though you know it's been over 20 years and 9/11 jokes are a thing,
but.
It's not appropriate for a workplace scenario.
No, it's not. But I will throw out there at this point, as far as that email goes, my biggest advice would still be just keep trying to get out.
Always look. Look.
Take a day that you're off and just fill out a bunch of applications on Indeed. That's the biggest advice I can give.
Well, and the first step is if you don't have a resume, make a resume. And if you don't know how to make one, tons of really good resources for that online. Remember that you do more than you think you do. Every aspect of your job is customer service is one big thing. Cash handling is a big thing. Inventory is a big thing. Like these are all skills that people look for. Working, you can put on there. I work by myself 34 hours a week. That's a big thing. But I also work in a team environment. Like know the buzzwords and just like I said, just bomb it. Just throw them out there. The worst thing that happens in that case is you say no. That's not the bad thing.
Yeah, it's not. Next email we have comes from Justin from Cincinnati, Ohio. Hey guys, was writing in to see your take on the Star Wars Outlaws fiasco. What do you guys think of the game between the uglification of the main character and its grimy season pass? So I did, and we'll talk about more because we have another email that we did. I did put out a video on this, and I combined it with another subject that we'll get to later in the emails. It is insane to me when you look at the actress who is playing this character, who is an attractive woman. Why did they do what they did to her face? Like, it makes no sense. They do not look the same. Her hair is completely different.
Hair is whatever, because hairstyle, fine.
Yeah.
But her face does not look the same.
Does not look like that at all. It's really bizarre. I think the bigger problem I have with this game, and that's what I said in my video, and I'll continue to say, is where the game's set, because my biggest issue with Star Wars right now, other than I think most of it is trash, is we cannot get away from the original trilogy. We've already shit on those characters.
That's the moneymaker.
Yeah, and I don't like where this game's set in the timeline. The season pass thing does suck. That feels like something that you would have seen 10 years ago before we had all these other microtransactions and stuff in games. Right. Remember when I think of like 10 years ago, I think of like, remember when you'd have to get the online pass for the game to play online
Mass Effect.
In new games. That was like a 6-month thing. That's what I think of when I look at this. And the fact that they came out and their response to it was like, well, it's only part of the mission. What does that mean?
No.
It means that the full game is not there. Yeah, exactly. You're not getting the full game unless exactly. So it's trash. The uglification thing, it's ridiculous. But like, we'll get to that side of it more in a little bit.
I hate to say that, like that just is seemingly becoming more prevalent, and I don't get it.
I don't either.
Like obviously, there's tons of memes and stuff out there about it, but like.
There is
MJ from Spider-Man. She doesn't look the same. Then why are we doing this? The weird part is they focus so much to make Peter look like him, but why doesn't she look the same? It doesn't fit with what's going on.
It doesn't.
The other problem with this game too is like it just seems like it's already DOA because they keep fucking up. And it's Ubisoft's. That's what they do, man. They just keep fucking up.
Wow.
Ubisoft. The only thing that didn't bother me was like, I have to be online to like install play. Like that's almost everything at this point. So like,
I can understand that argument a decade ago. I don't. That argument doesn't exist to me anymore. No. Everything you do is online.
Yes.
Okay.
Patches, everything is online. Like it is what it is.
I understand that. Like if you're on a military base or something where you can't get internet, that does suck. But at some point you'll be in a situation where you can use the internet to get that game.
And honestly, this game doesn't seem like it's worth the hassle at this point.
I don't think it is. I think this game's dead on arrival.
I'm not a Star Wars guy, but I was somewhat interested in this one.
I was somewhat interested in it as well because it's like, not a Jedi game.
It's a Ubisoft game.
I'm tired of
that. I'm over that. But this one, it's a Ubisoft game. It'll be $20 if I care about it.
Very fast.
Yeah,
very fast.
With how this game's already perceived, it'll be $20.
Probably going to need a couple patches too. If you might guess,
I would guess.
I'm looking forward to seeing the roadmap. That's what I would tell you.
The roadmap.
The roadmap.
Single player game roadmap.
Yep. Charles from San Diego, California. Hi, 572. Love hearing about your pickups on the last podcast. Was curious, now that the convention is over, would you change your opinions on what to collect for right now and maybe what to avoid due to high prices? So my answer about this would be what we talked about last week was if you are someone out there that wants to collect for Dreamcast, I would tell you now's the time to look for Dreamcast stuff.
Bad.
Because it's drying up.
Well, and like I showed off my pickups and stuff that I had at that store I went to. They had a lot of good Dreamcast stuff. I think I showed you a picture of that Spawn game and everything. Yeah. But it was all they're 40% over what it should be. Yeah. And it's getting worse. That's a bad
one. And like I said, that was my biggest thing when we went to that convention was like I saw very little Dreamcast stuff anywhere at any booth. Yep. And the stuff that I did see would be the common stuff you think you would see, like Crazy Taxi, Sonic Adventure, those things. But that was it.
Yeah.
I saw more turbo graphics, which is not something I ever think I would have said. So as far as other stuff to collect, I mean, I still would say right now is the best time to collect 360 and PS3 stuff because it's not crazy. And there are things that are rising, though.
There are some games that are crazy, but they've always been crazy. The pricing on stuff for those systems hasn't changed too much.
No, it hasn't.
These digital storefronts start to disappear. Like Xbox is doing what they can for preservation. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you'll be able to buy it. It just means it's on a disc somewhere.
What did I buy the other day digitally because it's no longer available now, and they made a big deal that Age of Booty game?
Yep.
I bought that because it was 99 cents, and I was like, well, that was the right price. But and that's the other thing. That's in July when that 360 digital store is done. So you're going to see some stuff really skyrocket when that hits. Like a good one I'd throw out there is like that disc that has the original Plants vs. Zombies and some of those other games. That's going to go way up.
Arcade collection things. There's that one. I think that has Zuma's Revenge.
Yeah, I have the Zuma one.
There's that. Those are going to go up. Namco one, I want to say.
Yeah.
Those are going up too.
Any of those kind of things that were on that.
Those now. I will also say that like I was pleasantly surprised that at the show and at the store too, like common Nintendo and common Super Nintendo is still not bad.
Wasn't too bad.
Like I told you, I got this Young Merlin game. It was like $12, which for a Super Nintendo game in 2024 that I don't see a whole lot. That's a good price. You know, it's when you go for like the obvious rare stuff for Super Nintendo and Nintendo, you're going to be paying, but we all know that at this point.
For sure.
64, I don't feel like has changed too much other than, the top 8 games on that system.
I also throw out their original Xbox is still good to collect for right now. A lot of $10 to $15 games. You can
still get decent stuff for PS2. Even some of the crazier stuff that tops out around $50.
Cube has gotten nuts.
Certain Cube stuff is bad.
It's getting bad,
I would DS is probably another one that you'd probably want to get what you want to get for it now. 3DS too, because those stores are gone. The 3DS store is gone.
It's gone, yeah.
So you want 3DS games? Get them now because that's going to be the stuff people are looking for in 5-6 years.
That would probably explain. I thought about that the other day. Why the Fire Emblem thing went up.
Yeah.
Now I remember. Now I know. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Well, remember not only that, but like that one thing was locked to that digital store only, and now that that's gone, it's locked to a special edition of that game.
Exactly.
So
that's only going to go.
3DS is one of those things where get it now because it's going to get worse. DS is probably about the price a lot of that stuff is going to stay at. Pokemon stuff is always going to be bad now. Yeah, but there's still good deals to be found for like cartridgey type stuff. Not much is changing other than
Dreamcast is the biggest one. I'd say
Dreamcast is a big one. 360
it just shocked me.
360 and 3DS are close. Even with the Wii U shop being down, I don't think that's going to drive Wii U prices up other than what there are.
I don't think so because it's already kind of looked at as a niche console to begin with. And
the games for it that are rare are the ones that are always going to be rare, like that weird ass Turbo based off of that awful anime.
You know, another 360 arcade compilation. I don't remember what it's called, but one of those Konami classic ones that has Symphony of the Night.
Yes,
that'll go way
any
up.
of the things that have like
that's one I should probably get, even though I have it digitally.
You should try to find it now, especially you're a Castlevania guy. You need to get it.
Yeah, I probably should get that. So.
But yeah, there's still stuff to be found. Like I said, I did all these pickups and stuff and paid less than what they're worth, and these are titles. Some of these you don't see every day. So
yeah. Next email we have comes from David from Des Moines, Iowa. Howdy dudes, I was curious what your take is on the Tomb Raider controversy. Saw Kyle put out a Marvel Gallery video on it, and I have to agree with really trying to change that character in a way that will be disastrous for them. What do the rest of you guys think? So what do you know about the Tomb Raider controversy?
I saw it. It's awful.
So the important thing to put out there is that this is not the next video game. This is a tabletop game that is being made, but they are clearly trying to reintroduce Lara Croft in a new light that not only like it puts her in she's not a Tomb Raider anymore. That's the first thing. She's no longer going to be raiding tombs. She's no longer going to be collecting artifacts. Instead, she's a seeker of the truth. But we're still going to call the game Tomb Raider because you couldn't just call it Lara Croft.
That actually would have worked. So
I would argue at this point it would work because there are two games that came out that were called Lara Croft so like you could do it. But it's that this game also, when you look at the character model of her, we're doing the same thing where we're making her kind of ugly, which is weird.
Why?
Like she's looked different. Obviously, like the original looks different than the ones that kind
of the 2013 reboot
and the 2013 reboot ones, but they all felt like her. This one looks different.
This doesn't feel like her.
No.
Well, the other thing I'd argue is like when you get to the 2013 reboot, they tried to make her look like a realistic woman.
Like a person.
They did a good job.
She
looked like an actual person because she was an actual person.
And
what's weird
is we were able to do that in 2013, make her look exactly like the woman who played her.
Why can't we do that in 2024?
Can't do that with anyone anymore.
It just doesn't make sense. So again,
Japanese and Korean studios can do it.
Well,
not American.
Stellar Blade. But yeah. It's dumb. I think this is going to be a misfire, and I think they're doing it with this tabletop game first to test the water.
It's a bad way to test it.
It is, but what's a worse way? Put a video game out like this?
I don't know. Like
I don't think it would sell.
People weren't. I would say before the 2013 one came out, people weren't crazy about it, and then it came out and it was an incredible game.
It sold well, but I can't imagine a reboot where she's no longer raiding tombs is going to sell well for the people that see a trailer for it and know what it is. There will be those random people walk over, she go, hey, a new Tomb Raider, But again, for the people that care and watch trailer, they're going to be out on it.
And this is after we just released the remaster of the first three. It got people back into it.
Yeah. So it's a misfire. And I really hope that they look at it that way and they don't go that direction in the video game. I don't know. I think you're going to see a lot of that in the next couple of years, and then you're gonna all of a sudden there'll be a change where it's like, okay, this didn't work. Yeah, where this isn't work. And what's going to happen is when the money's not coming in, is when you will see these companies pivot and go, okay, we're not making money now.
It'd be real exciting when this Tomb Raider game doesn't hit the target either.
No.
Do you think they're going to sell 5 million copies of this Tomb Raider?
No.
When the last one can sell 4.5 million? Like, no.
And the last one was, not that it's a bad game. It was the worst of the 3.
If this is worse than that,
this isn't going to get anywhere close.
Yeah, it's weird. So, next email we have comes from Steve from Oak Park, Michigan. Howdy, dudes. I know the PS5 Pro questions have been beaten to death over the last few episodes of the podcast, but one question I wanted to bring up is the disk drive. Do you think it's possible Sony doesn't put a disk drive in the Pro machine to keep costs down, or do you think it's too soon for them to make a decision and they hold off for that for the PS6? I think realistically, it's like the new version of the PlayStation 5, which is it has a disk drive is optional.
Yeah, they've already started it.
Yeah.
It would be weird to me if this thing had a disk drive, because then that means they're going backwards.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it doesn't have one and I've got to buy an extra part to make all of
that
the
pisses
physical
me off
stuff
even more.
Then hell no, I'm not buying one.
That would piss me off even more if it comes out. And this thing is, let's say, and I'm just throwing a number out there. Let's say they come out and say, okay, it is $600, but it does not have a disk drive. You have to buy that separately. Fuck no. Yeah, like no. I
don't care how many frames and ray tracing this thing is doing. Absolutely not.
It's insane. So I don't think that it will be that way. I think PS6 is where it'll be. There are no disk drives at all.
That's the end. Like that won't even be a talking point anymore. They'll just show you this is the PS6. Yeah. And it's a box about that big with the weird like curve in it.
It's like the size of an Apple TV.
No, because they want to make it.
I think it'll be bigger.
They want to make it look stupid, so it'll have some kind of weird angle that curves up and
looks
around.
Looks like this 2003 futuristic router.
Yeah, it looks like the PS9, the game sphere.
Do you think they'll make it customizable with different fins though? Different colors.
So. They got to, because they want to sell.
They got to do something, right? Yeah,
they want to sell colors. But
exactly,
the Pro, for me, the max price for that is $500 with a disc drive. Anything other than that is like unacceptable.
I don't even want it though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that 500 is a lot with a disk drive for something I don't even need.
I'm pretty sure we read an article the last episode we recorded where there are developers that are saying like we don't even understand why this exists.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it seems so unnecessary.
Wasn't it saying like it would maybe make GTA run 10% better? Wow.
Yeah. It's insane.
GTA 6 is also the first like time they're making a PS5 game from scratch.
Yeah,
they haven't even touched what the current system can do. Why don't we all wait for that game to come out and see what happens?
And then make the decision.
If that game comes out and even Rockstar is like, this is as good as we could get it to be, and it's not where people want it to be, then we can have the discussion about we do need another system. But
at that point, it's PS6 time.
But the other argument is if let's say the Pro comes out this year, right? They say it comes out in October.
It really feels like it is.
When does PS6 come out?
Probably 2028. That's what I think.
Then I can wait. I don't need a Pro for $600.
No,
I'll be fine.
I think my prediction is because I think I saw something earlier this week where the rumor is that they're going to have their event in May for like their E3 type event. That's where you're going to hear about it.
At least
that's
confirmation
the right time.
That it's real. You might not get price date because they'll save that for a July showcase.
Yeah,
I wonder if it still comes out this year there, or if they push it back. Because I still think you want to have that thing come out.
Launch with something that uses it.
Mm-hmm. Like GTA. Yeah. So it just seems weird to put it out this fall when we already know this year there is no big first party Sony.
Because what's the argument going to be like? Rebirth will look even better. You mean the game that came out 9 months ago?
You like Stellar Blade?
Yeah.
Look at this. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe Forespoken will run properly on it.
There you go.
It'll never run properly.
It'll fix those facial animations.
No, just their mouth. Their mouth is weird.
I told you the Digital Foundry video when they went through those leaked specs, and they said like because it's only like a 10% increase for the CPU, and the first thing the guy said was this is not going to fix the problem of something like Dragon's Dogma 2 running at 60 frames, right? Because it's a CPU bound game. So what is the point of this thing then? And the point of it, they think, is ray tracing, which nobody fucking cares about that. We've proven that. No. That was the big thing that they promised with the Series X and the PS5 was this ray tracing, which like, does it look cool when it works? Sure.
Well, that was no game. It's like the same argument with like HDR when they were like, remember when HDR first came out? They're like, this has HDR in it. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Explain to me high dynamic range.
What high dynamic range is, and now I need to properly set it up.
It makes sense for taking pictures.
Single game on my TV that is sort of HDR compatible, but not really.
I remember and this will tell you how stupid I am. I remember I had to go out because I had a Vizio TV I bought in 2015. That was my first 4K TV, and I bought the same one that our buddy had because he's like, this is a good TV. I'm like, all right. And then for whatever reason, we got to 2017, 2018. We got these new interim systems. And then I got in my head like, well, I got to get something with HDR because it doesn't have HDR. And I went out and quickly bought the Samsung TV that I have. And that was like $500 just for HDR. And I'll be honest, like the minute I hooked that up and I played whatever game I threw on, I couldn't tell you the difference.
No.
The HDR part of it.
No.
I can tell the difference on the OLED.
Sure.
But that's different.
That's a different
that's a very type of screen. Yeah. But HDR, no, that was a big buzzword.
Yes.
So like,
just like 8K.
That was a weird.
Remember there were
I could have just waited another year or two and got my OLED.
That was 8K.
Oh, you mean the 8K on the PS5 box?
Yeah.
It's the little 8K symbol, but it'll never do that.
Yeah.
It's never going to do that. Well, the PS5 Pro will not.
Maybe the PS5 Pro will put a cell processor in it, and then
there you go.
When you hook up your PS3 to it,
I can play Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriot. We can do it. Our final email today comes from us from Zach from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Howdy, guys. Was curious if any of you had tried this Delta emulator that just released on the Apple Store. I know emulators are always a hot button topic, but it seems to work extremely well. I have not had a chance to try it yet, but you have had some time to try it, Dan.
I did. So I was at work yesterday and I saw the IGN thing come up and it said, this thing's out on the App Store and it's free now. And I was like, all right, let's check it out. Installed it. And it is like, I know this is a dumb thing to say, but like it is free. Like there's no ads, there's no weird thing that comes up, and it's just an emulator.
Do you think they ever charge for the emulator, or can they not legally charge for it?
I don't think they can. I think that's the quick way to get yourself taken down. Because remember, the argument for emulators is emulators themselves are not illegal. ROMs themselves are not illegal because technically, if you own a game, you own a license for the game.
You're backing it up.
You have a way. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a different way to play something you've paid for.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me just. And I don't have any ROMs on my phone natively, but I have all of them in other ways. So I was like, I'll just email myself one really quick because Super Nintendo ROMs are small. Emailed it to myself, went straight to the downloads folder, opened the thing up, plus add it, boom. It just works. It's really good.
You play with what, touchscreen?
Yeah, I was just using like the little touchscreen controls. It's cool because
that work okay.
You can either play it like it's a Game Boy, or you can flip it and you can play it as like a Super Nintendo controller with a screen in the middle.
Okay. So I got to dig out my backbone.
Yeah, so like this is the kind of thing where like the touchscreen stuff is fine, but then you quickly realize that like I just put Super Mario World on it just to see.
Yeah.
And touch screen buttons for that game aren't good because it's hard to run and jump. R is a button. It's not a trigger. It's a button on the screen.
Yeah.
But it plays very well. I need to experiment with it more because
does it have save states and stuff?
Yes.
Awesome. That's pretty cool.
It does N64. Like
you said, it doesn't do PS1 yet, which is what I wanted to do.
It's currently basically Nintendo stuff and Sega Genesis. But the cool thing it does, and this is crazy, DS.
That's wild.
That's wild.
So you can play your vertically DS game. Does
it have the two screens, or how does that work?
It's just a screen and a screen below it, and then your controls at the bottom.
Okay.
That's wild as hell.
That's wild.
That's really cool.
And didn't you say to me too, like you could airdrop it to your TV?
Yeah, it works with like AirPlay, so it will work with my TV if I'm sitting on my chair. So then, but it also
insane.
supports like PS4 controllers, PS5 controllers, like all that, every kind of controller thing it supports. So imagine you get a backbone, you have this app, and I AirPlay it to my TV.
Yeah,
that's nuts. And
that's
like
insane.
I said, Super Nintendo ROM's small, Nintendo ROM's smaller, Game Boy ROMs, Game Boy Advance, DS is weird.
PS1 will start to get a little bit bigger, but
yeah. Well, I mean, those are different types of formats, so that might be more difficult because you're getting into multi-disc stuff and ISOs.
See, I really just want to play Blood Omen.
I know you do, but
my thought
was
this is a really good way.
This is a great way for me to like play DS games and not have to worry about charging a DS or plugging in a DS or the screen going bad or whatever. It's like, I don't know yet. I'm going to try. I'm going to test it. I'll do it. And I'll talk about it next time too. But
okay. I'm going to try.
I'm interested to see if the DS, I can touch the screen.
Yeah.
I'd have to be able to, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to try. I'm going to actually test on my iPad in the next 2 weeks because I have one of those like 8-bit do Super Nintendo controllers that are Bluetooth.
I have one of those too.
So
yeah.
And I want to try it with that. But if
this works as well as it continues to work, and I might wait for a while for it to be up, but imagine a scenario where I get a PlayStation branded backbone for my Apple phone so I can play a Nintendo ROM on my Samsung TV. We did it. We're in the future.
What world are we? Yeah, exactly, right?
That is wild.
I do like the idea of it specifically with the airdrop thing because that just seems ridiculous.
I'm going to probably test that tonight.
Thrown up on my TV. Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Because if that works,
I hooked my phone to my TV for other things, so this will work. I wonder what the latency might be like.
Be interesting.
But again, with a backbone, who cares?
Yeah, you're very right.
Yeah, it's a cool.
I gotta find my backbone.
It's just a cool little thing.
I think it's upstairs in the nightstand drawers where I think I left it.
It even has stuff for like cheat codes.
Okay.
You can there's fast forward. There's a couple other settings. I assume it'll probably get updates and stuff as it goes on.
Now the real thing would be if you could hook it up to those, throw in those retro achievements.
That would be,
oof. You know what I'm talking about? Now that would be insane.
Now we're dangerous in terms of playing all this.
Now stuff. It's just well, maybe fuck the new shit.
Yeah.
I'm just going back playing all these Nintendo games.
It's already the top free app on the App Store.
I'm not shocked by that.
Outpacing stuff for airlines and other things. It's crazy.
Is there any way in which you see it getting shut down?
There's always a way. They could have made a mistake with something.
Because Nintendo has to be furious right now.
The Nintendo thing, so they crushed that Switch guy, right?
Yeah.
But that was because
that's a current system.
Well, that was because Tears of the Kingdom got leaked through that thing.
Yeah.
And it fucked the whole thing.
Yeah.
Again, technically, he's giving it away, and it doesn't come with any games. You go on Facebook, and I see hundreds of devices that are plug this in your TV. It's got 20,000 games on it. Those things are far more illegal than this app is.
Yeah.
The only thing I could see happen that would force it is the only reason it exists is because Apple rolled back some of the stuff about emulators.
Yeah.
If Nintendo comes at them and says change it back, where this thing doesn't work anymore, then that could happen.
That's been more of an acceptable thing on the Android side for years.
The fucking Wild West of phones.
It is.
But Apple, them easing up on this is why it exists. But Nintendo could easily come at them and be like, you got to do it or we'll take off. Do they even have any games left on the iPhone? I don't even know. Does Mario Kart Tour still work? I don't think it does.
I was gonna say, what was the other
Dr.
Mario
Mario's
game?
dead. Animal Crossing's dead. That one's dead
the
too.
runner.
Oh man, I could play original Dr. Mario on that thing. All
easily.
Right. Well, I got something to do this weekend.
I highly recommend it. I would also highly recommend downloading it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna do it tonight.
My thought would be that it's not doing any kind of online check, and it's just gonna work for as long as it works. Unless they go Apple nuclear on it and make it not work anymore.
Which they could do. They can do that, but I don't know.
There'd be more.
One of you guys should play Ratatouille.
Fuck.
God.
Game Boy Advance version. You're right.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
You're welcome.
How weird would it be? We get to the end of this year and all three of us have played Ratatouille for the fucking Game Boy Advance. And then we can all have the same opinion. It's not great.
It's not great. It's not great.
How about I'll play a different random Game Boy Advance Disney Pixar game?
Okay.
It's got to be.
I'd go with that.
Incredibles 2.
Okay.
Maybe that's
they make a video game of Up.
You know what?
For that, I don't think.
I did it for like 360 or something, I think. So, yeah. Okay.
New goal moving forward. I am going to start looking for all these horrible Disney games.
Disney Pixar games. That's your new collection.
Disney
I've collected
Pixar
baseball.
There you go.
I've collected Disney Pixar.
I'm down. Let's do it.
But that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the podcast. As always, send your emails into podcast572@gmail.com. There'll be a little thing that'll flash at the end now that we're on video as well, that you'll get to see that as well. So, but otherwise, we'll be back in another 2 weeks for another edition of the podcast. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Be safe.